you would if someone who didn't have a trait. That's like by definition, I think, racist, right?
Oh my God. Confronting Hutch in heated discussion. Oh shit. Oh, who is this? Is attacking Hassan Piker 24/7 the best way to win the Senate? Find out today on Pisco stream. Oh shit. When is this supposed to start?
Oh, Kaya.
Kaya, no.
What are you
Who
talking
else is
about?
there? Give me more names.
Oh.
Like people that say Hassan is like his ultimate ops. Obviously you. Who else?
Oh, probably. Gottfield, the ADL guy.
Oh, I don't think it's Gottfield.
Is it not? What's it called? Oh, Greenblatt. Jesus
Greenblatt?
Christ.
Yeah,
Close enough. Okay, whatever.
Close enough.
Close enough. Remember, liberals will always side with fascists over socialists because fascism doesn't threaten capital. What the f does it have to do with white people Twitter? I mean, I guess it sounds like it's something a white person would say. Active in white people Twitter, politics, Hassan Piker, and black people of Reddit. Wait a second. Play the Dokes one. Well, I guess that works actually.
Up,
No,
man.
that works. They're the imposter, kind of. Anti-capitalism. I wonder what they post about in our technology all day. Certainly not a bunch of things shitting on AI, right? And data centers. Want to know how Dems will help crack down on corruption, tax billionaires out of their wealth, and hold this pedophile president Donald Trump accountable? Not them whining about a leftist live stream. I wonder if these people get paid for this, or if they're bots or whatever. They're posting on white people Twitter. It's an active Hassan poster. I wonder whose tweet this was. Was this an Austinox tweet? We don't see it here, but this one is, or Popstinox or whatever, which is Hassan's little Twitter dude. The more establishment Dems whine about Hassan Piker, that is time that could be used instead to impeach Trump, pass Medicare for all, stop giving handouts to the rich, and properly hold the fascist Republicans accountable for the grave damage they've inflicted upon the American people. Active in r/Hassan Piker, r/white people Twitter. Trains. Minnesota. Defeat Project 2025. r/Democratic Socialism. The Majority Report. DSA. And Michigan politics. Oh, they're from Michigan and Minnesota. What a coincidence, given that those are two hot battleground areas. Oh, and Maine. This person's working overtime. Wait, is Hutch streaming?
We don't have anything scheduled. No. All right.
I see your stream title. I see you leaning into the drama.
Listen, we all.
Okay, that's better. Definitely get closer to your mic because you're low. It is better. Yes, that is much. Yes. Listen. I'm just living the dream.
This was a tweet from that.
Wait, you're saying no audio at all? I am so confused right now. Hang on. Sorry.
If you're if you're not 26 years old, you shouldn't talk about the well. Even if you're 28 years old, what Al Gore lost in 2000 as a centrist. John Kerry lost in 2004 as a centrist. Obama won in 2008, posturing as a progressive, but then lost both houses of Congress after being exposed as a centrist. Hillary lost in 2016 as a centrist. Hello? The Dems need to begin abandoning centrism. What is this? This is great tweet, man. That was dope. Winky face. Same with yours, winky face.
One second.
My God.
I don't. Oh, okay. Hang on. Here. Okay. How about that? Talk again.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello.
There you go. Perfect. All right.
People can hear me, yeah? How you doing, brother?
Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm good. I'm very, very good.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
This feels like a moment that's kind of been a long time coming. We'll put it that way.
What?
Yeah, it's a long time coming. It really
Haven't
is.
they been chatting?
It really is just the longest time.
Wait, why?
I have a concern. Hutch.
Don't cover the mic when you talk.
Oh, my bad. I was just being dramatic. You mean the long time coming being the whole Hassan discourse?
Yeah, it's kind of centered around him, but I think it's about something that's like bigger than him as well. But yeah.
Bigger than Hassan.
Believe it or not, I have something different to bring up, and maybe related, but maybe related. Okay.
Okay.
And this is the different thing that I have that may be related to bring up is a concern of mine because I'm seeing it in certain places. I'm seeing whispers of it, and it's something that I wanted to bring to your attention.
Why do I feel like I'm being ambushed right now? Are you about to bring up like my 2008 tax returns or something? What is this?
No, everything is fine.
You make me nervous.
Everyone's monka giga. No, everything is good. Well, not everything is good because I'm seeing the rumblings, and the rumblings are as follows: people want Abdul El Sayed to lose his election against Mike Rogers. What do you think of that?
Oh my God, dude. Oh, it's to the insane hypotheticals and the one-off. Like I need you to say this or that. Oh my God, bruh.
We talked about this.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that?
We agree though, right? It's important to know that we agree that that's bad, right? You and me and the rest of our boys, we all agree that that's bad, right? We agree, right? We do agree. We're on the same side. That's bad, right? We agree.
Oh, a lot of people, and I would say there are maybe like four or five people that I follow that are, purely out of spite, and they lay it on real thick, that spite. They want him to lose. Everybody else that I follow, like the normie libs or the libs that you might call more moderate, are kind of pissed at El Sayed because they feel like he's made bad decisions that are, impacting the rest of the party, and he's putting Democrats in a difficult position. That's just what I see out there. Where are you seeing these sentiments?
I'm seeing
Wick.
rumblings. It's in the reply you see in a tweet. It's in the way he's being spoken of.
Oh my God.
fuck are
Oh,
you
now
talking
we
about?
can see so much subtlety. Whoa! Before we needed somebody to come out and outright say something. Now we're the subtlety kings. Really?
It's this kind of resignation to defeat that I'm sensing. I can't put a number on it. I can't define it for you, and I can't even present you evidence of it at this moment.
Okay.
But I feel it. Do you feel it as well? There's non-trivial amounts of people who desire his loss, ostensibly for the benefit of the Democratic Party.
Well, I guess we would have to quibble about what's trivial versus non-trivial. Some people are saying that. I think most people I follow definitely want to win that seat. Are you frustrated with Abdul El-Sayed? I'm just curious.
In what respect? Yes, of course. He said some stupid shit about court reform that I think was
Oh my! This has to be intentional. That's intentional, right? That's got to be intentional, right?
Yeah.
Right, because he knows what he's talking about, right? But we're just gonna play stupid, I guess. It's got to be intentional.
would
It has to be
assume so.
intentional.
I'm just curious.
In what respect? Yes, of course. He said some stupid shit about court reform that I think was very uncalibrated. So yeah, that frustrates me.
No, I mean,
He also
Oh, what else?
kind of like a dork sometimes.
Oh, okay. That's what you're talking about. Okay. Oh my God, these people are shameless, bro. They are shameless.
That frustrates me.
I'll tell you why I'm frustrated with Abdul El-Sayed. Number one is because
I think it's better. I've done this a lot more, and I think it's a good strategy. I think instead of saying, I'm going to tell you why, Hutch should say, what do you think I'm about to say? Because Pisco knows exactly what he's asking there, but, you know.
I want to pick up as many seats as possible because I do think that we could have like a crazy map in 2028. But we got to pick up the seats now to make our job easier in 2028. And the second reason I'm frustrated is because I think that, you can make an argument for a candidate like El-Sayed using Hassan's clout to raise their name recognition in a race like a primary. But as soon as that's
maybe early on, if he started off as a no-name, which I don't know if he was never quite a no-name, but maybe early on, maybe.
over, you cut ties for obvious reasons immediately. Mamdani had the good sense of doing that, and he was running in a D+35 city, for Christ's sakes.
Yep.
But what
Mamdani
did
cut ties totally with Hassan Biker.
right away? Just condemned him
I
right
wasn't aware of that.
right away.
Dude, it's, man.
He's retarded. No,
Dude, what's happening, though? These aren't stupid people. Moten.
He's lying.
Bruh.
He's lying.
One of the most common emails I get, and it's really sad, and I've gotten two different messages this morning for Mamdani, is the like, oh, hey, like, I like following your stuff and everything, but it's really depressing because there's like all these people that I used to like, and then this one conflict came up, and now I can never look at them the same. And I don't know, like, I feel that sometimes. It's like, bruh, this is not hard. What are we doing here? Hello?
I think he did it even during the primary, if I'm not mistaken.
I recall him condemning specific statements of Hassan Piker.
Well, yeah, but
no, I mean, yeah.
he did, but he hasn't had any kind of appearance with him since, or any kind of interaction with him.
Has Abdul?
So
And El-Sayed has.
the night
Yeah, we got it. It's easy. I could do the script on all these sides as well, also.
the night of the primary, Hassan was like there at the event. He was invited there. And then
I think Hassan was invited to Mamdani's victory.
I think that's true. I think that's true as well. So maybe that's out of bounds. But like,
I'm not sure if that's true, and I don't even know if that was like just a Mamdani thing or like a whole DSA thing or whatever. I could be wrong, but did Hassan appear on stream with Mamdani ever after like the election? Was he ever, like when he was at that party or that event, did he ever appear on stream with Mamdani? Were they ever in the same frame? I don't remember that ever being the case.
I think 2 days after the primary, or 1 day after the primary, they had a celebration party where there were photographers from the press there. Like there was a professional AP photographer, and I'm sure you've probably seen the picture of him and Hassan like yakking it up and smiling and yeah. So
Yeah.
He's saying there was a picture with them. Maybe they got a picture, but they weren't on stream together. Maybe Hassan was big mad because he didn't get into the back room in the Mamdani event. Remember, he wasn't on the list. Oh, maybe actually. And then he left after, and then he walked outside, and the people started clapping, and he thought it was for him, but they were probably thinking that it was Mamdani coming out or something.
allowed himself to be photographed by professional media with us on the night of the primary win. And would you agree that his decision to
Stupid decision.
I'm sorry. Hutch is saying about Abdul right here. Abdul. Okay. All right. Now that decision was crazy, now it'll just be, oh, that was stupid. That was silly. LOL. And then that's it. And then because there's no autonomy ever, depending on what we're talking about.
I
Oh
do not
man.
have you for the upstairs list.
Okay.
Can I see your ticket?
Oh no.
Okay.
You're
So we can't go upstairs.
I'm not, but do you have this? I can also just check.
Well, so I thought maybe those upstairs. Okay.
Damn.
But I can double check and just make sure on my end.
Yeah, I just wanted a drink. I'm good. But there's 72,000
I just wanted a drink because there's nowhere else in New York City to get a drink.
people watching.
Oh, great.
Currently.
Currently.
with us on the night of the primary win. And would you agree that his decision to
Stupid decision. Yes.
would you agree that he's
mean,
putting other Democrats in a difficult
That was
position?
stupid.
I'm not as convinced of that, but
Oh my God.
that's because I just
The party civil war, by the way. Party civil war right now, by the way. Is it really hurting other people? Nah, I don't know. I don't think I really believe that. Nah, I don't think so. Nah.
don't think that this kind of controversy is likely to extend to other races. I haven't seen evidence of that, and to the extent that it's happening, it feels like many Democrats are coming out and saying, hey, it's a distraction, or even I condemn what this guy stands for. So I'm not super convinced it's going to have any effect at all. In fact, I've been seeing some pretty optimistic looking polls, including of people in the most competitive districts, for example, or states like Talarico. I sent you some polls that show Talarico, even notwithstanding a lead for someone like Abbott, having like these really impressive showings in districts where Trump won by like 18, 20 points. But all of that is, I think, fair for us to go through. I'm curious why it's generating, again, this is my feeling, this kind of simmering resignation to defeat, or I might be so bold, a hope, a desire of defeat.
I think that the this isn't even worth engaging on because it's such a dumb, like the obvious answer, like you shouldn't be cheering for El Sayed to lose would be the obvious answer. You really shouldn't be cheering for him to lose. Okay. But there's two easy ways that you can go off of this that should encapsulate like 95% of like good faith thought. The first is that it's easy to say that somebody like Hassan doesn't represent your values and that you don't want somebody associated with him like winning a Senate seat. It's just not worth it. It's too far. Just like they would say the same if he was campaigning with Nick Fuentes. Like that should be an easy thing to say, to give on. No, that's the only thing. I think it's a two. There's only one thing. That would be it. That should be an easy thing to say. That's it.
Defeat for El Sayed as just desserts. This is what you get for taking that picture with Hassan Piker. And that would actually be good. It would actually be good motivation.
See, like these guys have gotten and they've reduced all of it to just like, oh, it's just personal petty grievances. Like, again, and there's a reason why Mehdi Hassan and everyone else, and maybe these guys, maybe these are tier 2 people, they don't realize like how they're getting by their own media consumption, and then in turn they provide media to people. Maybe they don't realize like you're part of the problem. Like you've missed a lot of media about how disgusting a lot of these positions are. Maybe it's because you genuinely are missing it. You just don't see it. But then like you're also part of the problem because you're not giving any attention to any of it either. And then that's causing a whole bunch of people to have no idea, what the fuck is even out there.
It would be good incentives. So that next time someone tries to do this, they know they're going to get destroyed in the election and they'll never.
And this is what is doing this? This is appearing with a guy who openly supports terrorist attacks, which shouldn't be that hard not to do. It should be pretty easy not to do that. I don't think that's an unreasonably high standard to set for anybody. I don't think it's an unreasonably high standard to set for literally anybody.
Do it again. Are you feeling that? Because I'm feeling that.
I can only speak for myself and say
Kevin Lax 35, Alex P 8495, and TN May Cry and Pisco Chat are actual Russian bots. There's no way those are authentic people. They even message the same shit together. Abdul is the GOAT. Abdul is awesome. Both Trump and the Democrats for Mike Rogers want AES to condemn Hassan. People like Hutch seriously make me contemplate that perhaps the only real path for progressives is the Green Party. Maybe Brown Joy's right. Wait, what? This is a Russian bot, like an actual, like a automated AI account piloted from Russia, I think. Holy shit.
Say that, of course, there's a petty side of this. I'll just fully own that. And I think it goes.
I don't think Hutch should ever own that. And I understand the desire, because I feel this sometimes as well, to make concessions in a debate. Even the personal side, I think you could say personal side, but I don't know if I would call it petty. The guy doxed you on stream. Like, he wants your information out there so that people can threaten you, harass you. Like, I don't know if I'd call that petty. You can call it personal. Petty, though?
Myself and say that, of course, there's a petty side of this. I'll just fully own that. And I think it goes deeper than just like simply being photographed with Hassan Piker. It's about what that represents. Like, what message does that send? And from my perspective, I feel like I've been I have been in this fight against like Trump and MAGA for the last 10 years, haven't missed a single primary or election, voted straight to Democrat every time. And when I see a United States Senate candidate campaigning with someone who has used his platform for years to say that the Democratic Party is literally like the second most evil institution in the world. That's what he told me, and he believes that. And he accuses this party of being terrorism. His foreign policy stuff, I don't know. No, but I'm saying he openly calls the Democratic Party fascist. He compared Kamala Harris to Adolf Hitler.
Hitler, yeah.
And so that feels like someone to me that has been like working against what I've been working towards. And so there's a petty side of this of like, it does feel kind of cathartic to watch him just get buried by his own clips after he thought it was going to
watch El Sayed be buried or Hassan be buried.
Hassan. And so like the petty stuff I reserve for Hassan, but not for El Sayed. I just want El Sayed to make better decisions.
Great. I agree. I want El Sayed to make better decisions. And I think the best way we can try to motivate him
is to just ignore all of this and just be relentlessly positive, is to just encourage him as much as possible. We should keep encouraging and ignore all of this. We should don't ever hit left ever, no matter what. There's always a reason why you should never hit left ever. You should always ignore all this stuff and just focus on Trump and focus on beating Mike Rogers.
And really to put him in a position to affect that change is to reward him for distancing himself from what Hassan said. And if for anything else, even if you think the statement was insufficient, at least acknowledging here live on your stream, Hutch, that you unequivocally endorse El Sayed and urge every one of your audience members.
You should never unequivocally endorse anyone. You should never unequivocally. What do you mean unequivocally? I think he means unequivocally and unconditionally. Because no, I think we can definitely have reasons why we would support somebody, reasons why we wouldn't support somebody. That should be a super, super, super easy thing to do.
To the extent that they're able to vote for El Sayed.
I definitely
in the general election.
I definitely hold the view that if you live in Michigan, it is really important that you vote for Abdul El Sayed. And furthermore,
that's great.
If you have time and the inclination to volunteer to help him with canvassing efforts in the state, and furthermore, if you have disposable income that you can send to his Senate campaign, then you should do that as well. Like, yes.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, no, okay, that assures me a lot, because before, when you said the whole 30% of you wants him to
now, thank God he can say we're boys and we're on the same team. Thank God we're boys, we're on the same team, and all these other people are crazy and bad and horrible. He's not going to say the other people. He means me. But we're on the same team. They're the enemies. We're on the same team. The other people are the bad guys. Good job. We got that out of the way. Thank God. Yes.
Lose. I was like, I sat with that for a while, Hutch. I'm not going to lie. It affected me.
There's still 30% of me that thinks that.
Yeah, talk me through that, though.
Well, if you look at the map right now, like with the newest developments out of South Carolina, I don't know if you've been looking at the numbers there.
Oh, it's a bit ambitious, but I'm here for it. What's her name? Annie something? Annie something?
I don't even know her name because I don't know jack shit about South Carolina. But I've seen the numbers. I've seen the head-to-head polling, and all of a sudden, a state like South Carolina is competitive, Iowa's competitive, Texas is competitive. So, if you're someone that holds my view that the movement that if you're someone that holds my view that the movement that Hassan represents has been an albatross around the neck of the Democratic Party, then it kind of makes sense to see the value in like normie Democrats just crushing it and flipping seats that you wouldn't even think was possible a year ago, while the progressive candidate loses in a swing state.
That's valuable, or you think that's? I just don't understand it. I don't think you think it's good. I think you think it's you understand the sentiment behind it, the same way you understand the pettiness, the same way you understand the statements being bad, the same way you understand that that worldview is flawed, maybe even internally flawed, but not in a way that you understand it rationally motivating the action, by which you mean you agree with it, to sit out the election or to not endorse. That's the part that I don't understand.
Well, I'm not rooting for that outcome, but if that outcome happened, I could give you the silver lining of that outcome. I could say, well, not ideal, but here's why I think it's not all bad.
But you could do that with just about any bad thing, right? Well,
oh my God, dude. It's like the king of equivocation and the king of missing the point.
Going through cancer makes me more thoughtful about how I
oh my God,
live my life. Or, having Trump win made us realize something about the Democratic Party. There could be a silver lining to a great many bad thing that occurs, right?
Well, I think some things are just really bad. Like if I fell in a vat of molten lava tomorrow, I would have a hard time finding the silver lining there. But but I'm telling you,
there's not always a silver lining.
I'm telling you that in the case of if normie Democrats just feast on Republicans during the midterms and put a strong performance out there, and El Sayed loses, I'm telling you that there's real value there that I think would potentially help the Democratic Party in the long run, playing the long game.
More so than El Sayed winning the election? No, right?
No, I don't know. Otherwise, I would be rooting for that outcome. But
yeah,
the value there would be it's been so easy for people like Hassan and people with his politics and people from that movement to talk all of this shit and hype themselves up the way that they've been doing for several years, and they got to do that for so long because they never really had that challenge. So they would make these bold claims that their politics, you could just replicate that all over the country. And the problem with the Democratic Party is that it's just not actually doing enough to support their kind of candidates. And if they did, that they would win all over. And there is value on not only El Sayed losing that race and then
repudiation
hurting that claim pretty significantly, but also. I think.
Hey guys, can you be good faith to Hutch, please? I don't need you guys saying he's lying about wanting the Republican to win. Let's just take him at his word. I believe him. He's been voting no matter who longer than you.
Oh wait, so Pisco is aware of the things that his chat's saying, and he's putting effort into this. Maybe it's new. Maybe this is a new thing. To be fair, but okay, interesting.
You guys have been alive, all right? So
I release. Cool with that. If you want to let your and I'm not even saying this to be smart.
I don't want that. This is,
sorry. I didn't even mean to say it like that. But I'm just telling you, your chat can say whatever, and it's not gonna bother me because I have thought these things out quite a bit. I know I have very good reasons for the things that I'm saying, and so I think that the value of this happening also would be that future U.S. Senate candidates that are running in really important races are going to think twice before campaigning with Hassan Piker. So there's future value there, right? Surely you would agree with that, right?
I think that there's future value potentially for the Hassan part of it, yeah, in the primary context, let's say.
Okay.
Where I don't see necessarily is on any score where that is improved by him losing, because I think if he wins, now you have the model of disavowing Hassan, right? And you winning, and that's also there. And someone is able to win and unify with the disavowal of the given statements or whatever, and we're all good, right? So in what sense is this kind of maybe him losing his maximalist anti-Hassan? Maybe I would grant that, but I think you still get some of that effect by how El Sayed would win, and he won by being unafraid to take a stance against what Hassan said about whatever the stuff about Jews bringing it on themselves.
I think what I'm getting at is that if this goes really poorly for El Sayed, and you can attribute a lot of his failure to his decision to align himself with Hassan during the prime.
Was there ever a full-throated disavowal? I would have to reread the thing from this morning, but him saying like I am not going to campaign with Hassan, I think is probably about as close. I feel like I should read it. I guess what I'm saying that's adequate. I'd have to look, but it's pretty adequate. I think if that's an accurate summary of the statement, I'd have to read it directly.
Primary, then I think that future Democrats that are serious about winning elections in competitive races are going to think twice before using Hassan to elevate their name recognition. And if he wins, then I think other Democrats will make this what I think is a mistake, which is to use Hassan to, because it's a devil's bargain. Okay, it's like, okay, yeah, it may boost you in the primary a little bit, but we know with 1,000% certainty that Fox News and the right wing are going to do this every time. Any time a candidate campaigns with Hassan in the primary, they're going to bury that candidate in campaign ads tying them to Hassan. And that is a losing electoral strategy. And I don't want the Democratic Party to do that in the future.
And so if they win, you're confident that that attack will have been at least shown in the minds of most fair-minded people to be toothless, the anti-Hassan attack that is, and that you fear then, therefore, Hassan rises in prominence as a result.
I think I fear that it will be perceived as toothless, but I don't think it takes a genius to understand that these attacks are working, and it is helping Mike Rogers. Otherwise, I don't know how to explain why Abdul El-Sayed's campaign put out a message, sort of in a way that I think is more subtle than I would have wanted it to be, but like distancing themselves from Hassan, and then yesterday telling another reporter that he has no plans to campaign with Hassan.
Damn.
I think the reason why they're doing that, why the way he's making those comments is obvious, and it's because that campaign obviously thinks that those attacks are hurting him. And do you disagree that they're going to do this?
No.
They're going to do this every time. Every time.
But there is a tension between El Sayed's victory. Let's say it's a convincing 5-point victory. This notion that Hassan is cyanide for your campaign, especially if his result, let's say, it's in line with how other Democrats are performing relative to the inherent partisanship of the states. If he's in line with that, then some of the luster of the argument regarding he's hurting, right, starts to go away, right? In which case, wouldn't your critique also start to go away about him damning Democrats in terms of the odds? Don't you have something on the line here too?
I don't know, but I personally have something on the line here. But I mean, I have my sense of
what
cyanide for your campaign, especially if his result, let's say, it's in line with how other Democrats are performing relative to the inherent partisanship of the states. If he's in line with that, then some of the luster of the argument regarding he's hurting, right, starts to go away, right? In which case, wouldn't your critique also start to go away about him damning Democrats in terms of the odds? Don't you have something on the line here too?
Wait,
I just got back. Can you give me a TLDR? What I missed?
They're arguing about the Abdul El-Sayed thing.
Like distancing themselves from Hassan, and then yesterday telling another reporter that he has no plans to campaign with Hassan. I think the reason why they're doing that, why the way he's making those comments is obvious, and it's because that campaign obviously thinks that those attacks are hurting him. And do you disagree that they're going to do this?
No.
They're going to do this every time. Every time.
But there is a tension between El Sayed's victory. Let's say it's a convincing 5-point victory. This notion that Hassan is cyanide for your campaign, especially if his result, let's say, it's in line with how other Democrats are performing relative to the inherent partisanship of the states. If he's in line with that, then some of the luster of the argument regarding he's hurting, right, starts to go away, right? In which case, wouldn't your critique also start to go away about him damning Democrats in terms of the odds? Don't you have something on the line here too?
I don't know, but I personally...
Am I retarded, or what does he mean by that? He's saying that Hutch has something to lose if El-Sayed wins, that we should engage with the lefties. Even if he disavows? Would Pisco still say that? Is that...
have something on the line here, but I mean, I have my sense of where the electorate is at, and I do hold the view that Hassan's politics are like just as toxic and corrosive as you can be. Like, do you understand that? Which is a very condescending way to ask a question, but do you understand that? Like, do you understand the Republican Party right now? If you're Mike Rogers' campaign, it's win-win. They're putting pressure. They're putting pressure on Abdul El-Sayed and other Democrats to acknowledge Hassan Piker and his influence and significance in the current moment within Democratic Party politics. And there's two different outcomes. There's one outcome.
You have an interest in that as well, right? You're trying to do that as well, because you're trying to put it all on the line.
What? This is such a strange comparison. What do we even yes, Hutch has a little bit on the line that he's making a certain prediction. I guess if it doesn't come true, it kind of makes him look bad. But that's not even remotely related to what we're talking about here with regards to winning an election. Yeah, everybody has something on the line a little bit when they're trying to predict who might win or lose an election. But what is the point we're trying to prove here with that?
To have there be a response, right? So you're also increasing the prominence, and you want that. Let's be honest, you want the Fox News attacks to occur, right?
You could or couldn't for a couple of reasons, but I'm even having a hard time phrasing this in my brain. I don't know how to do this in a live argument. If something comes true that you said would come true, that's a bad thing. Does that mean that you want the bad thing to happen? I mean, kinda, because you want your prediction to be accurate. But is it accurate to say that you wanted the bad thing if you were trying to avoid that in the first place? If I say, if these 10 kids jump in the water and they don't know how to swim, they're going to drown. And then 10 kids jump in the water and they drown. And somebody says, well, you wanted that to happen, didn't you? And it's like, I mean, in a very bleak sense, yes, because I would like to think that I understand the human body enough to know that if you jump in the water and you can't swim and you begin inhaling water, you're going to die. So, I mean, yeah, I wanted my prediction to be true and accurate, but that doesn't mean that I wanted the outcome of the kids jumping in the pool and drowning. I wanted them to not go in the pool, right? So, that's a really crazy connection to make there. It's a very, very, very crazy. That's a crazy connection to make. Ugh. Like Hutch's desired outcome would have probably been that no politician should be sharing a stage with Hasan Piker unless Hasan accurately reflects all of the beliefs of that person. In which case, I imagine Hutch would say, maybe I can't speak for Hutch. For me, that would be a line too far. I can't support people who support terrorism. That's too much.
Right, so you're also increasing the prominence, and you want that. Let's be honest, you want the Fox News attacks to occur.
Like
right?
that's just a crazy statement.
Absolutely not. No, I want to live.
I was saying that you liked it.
No.
Fox News attacks.
I mean,
it can't. Is it intentional? I can't tell. I can't tell. I really can't. I can't. Like that's. But Hutch has identified it. Hutch is saying no. I didn't want this to happen at all. That's why I said that Hasan shouldn't be with El Sayed ever.
Like all things being equal, like in a vacuum, I don't want my candidates who are running in swing states to have to deal with this kind of coverage on Fox News. So I'm not rooting for that to happen. It's obviously going to happen. It's just, so it's just an unavoidable.
That's good. Wait, but don't you think that it's good that if a candidate associates themselves with Hasan, that all the powers that be, including Fox News and establishment, quote unquote, or leadership, Democrat, quote unquote, however you want to define that term, I'm not putting any connotation on that term, that they attack Hasan? Isn't that pressure good? Isn't that fulfilling the thing that you want to see? You started this call by being like, I'm actually quite like
that you want to see, like.
Good that this is all occurring. Isn't this part of the immune system?
Like it's good such that like it demonstrates that you have an understanding of what's going on, and it demonstrates that the prediction that you made about what would happen is accurate. But that was the thing you were trying to avoid in the first place. That was always a thing to be avoided.
Pushing out Hasan, in which case don't you have something to lose, right? Because if it doesn't work, or if El Sayed is in line or exceeds nationwide expectations, which I don't think is likely right now, but let's say that it is, wouldn't that undermine your case?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yes. Obviously, like if El Sayed wins by 10 points or something like that, then Hasan would then.
I think you'd be upset.
Oh my
if you
God,
you'd be upset. I think.
I don't know if I would be upset. Like I'm not. I'll take a 10-point victory in Michigan. Like listen,
I know,
like
you want.
Wait, let me
right?
hold on real quick.
Like he's fully bought into the Hasan slurp narrative of like it's all spite, it's all personally motivated. There's no possible way that you could have issues with Hasan Piker, the darling of these Twitch streamers. There's no way that you could have an issue unless it's all just like spite based and personally, it's just personal animosity.
Let me make the point that I was making. I'll be so brief. The Republicans are the reason why they're in a win-win situation is because no matter what the outcome is, like they're forcing the issue. They are forcing these fault lines to come to the surface. Like they're forcing the Democratic Party to draw lines. Like the Democratic Party leadership to define the party, and they can define the party by disavowing Hasan or welcoming him into the tent. And in either of those outcomes, the Republican Party is going to benefit from that. Because like if the as the Democratic Party leadership is doing right now in disavowing Hasan, Republicans know that that's going to cause a shitstorm within the party, and it's going to cause all kinds of division and fighting, and it's going to be like 2016 all over again. And if Democrats like roll out the welcome mat or defend Hasan, then they're going to turn around and look at normies and be like, "See, we told you, they're fucking crazy." And so,
that's a dynamic that you would support. You wouldn't want it to be any other way. And I think the proof of that is the following: what would make you happier?
It's so crazy, dude.
An El Sayed overperformance by 10 points. Let's say he wins by 10 points and over the margin by which he was expected and in line with other Democratic overperformances. Would you prefer that, or an El Sayed win where he wins by 0.5?
0.5.
What's preferable?
0.5.
There you go, right? Like,
yeah.
and 100%, you're trying to balance.
But that's not testing the same principle that Pisco asked about earlier, because in both those scenarios, he's winning the election. It's not even testing the same question.
But isn't it also an issue? Like even if Abdul El Sayed does win, we don't really know then, like without Hasan, because Hasan is absolutely detrimental to the campaign. Anybody with a brain could see this, how much better he could have done.
Sure, but he's just saying right now, like, you'd prefer him to barely win versus him, like, massively winning because it hurts. It hurts Hasan more, hurts the association with Hasan more. But there's two huge issues with this. One is that he kind of just presupposes that there's no way you could have an actual moral issue with Hasan's stuff, which I think is silly.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a big one. I think I had a second one, but I forgot it.
To have this tension, the two wolves in you, right? There's two wolves. There's a vote blue no matter who wolf.
Get that. Don't ever. Oh, Hutch has actually been more on board with this than I have been. Get rid of that saying. It's only weaponized by these people who are bad faith to try to attack you and bully you into voting for somebody that's an actual terrorist supporter. It's crazy.
And there's the wolf about internal democratic, cleansing, and they're both gay and they're fighting each other.
But I don't know if I experience it as this like uncomfortable tension. Like I just have my perspective that, and I don't even think anybody could give me a plausible steelman argument or counter argument. But I think it is just we know with 100% certainty at this point that Hassan Piker is fucking toxic sludge, and so I am rooting for whatever outcome makes.
You want that to be the case.
I'm
showed it,
hold on.
What
I'm saying is I'm rooting for any outcome that gets more people to understand this. That's what I'm rooting for.
You actually want him to be toxic to El Sayed, just not in such a way that he loses the election.
No, I don't.
No,
I don't want Hassan.
Because
I don't want Hassan Piker to be a toxic influence in Democratic Party politics. I want him to off.
Yeah, somebody put this in chat. A really good counter question to Pisco would be, do you want the United States to lose the war against Iran? Do you want Iran to emerge successfully from? Because it's like, not really, but it's like, do you want the United States to have a total victory against Iran? I was like, well, because that would seem to go really far into legitimizing Trump's insanity, right? Would it not? So I don't know.
I want him to get away from Democratic Party politics.
No, but given two scenarios, one in which he drags down El Sayed,
and then he is the analogy, oh my God, he uses analogies to totally destroy the understanding of the original question. He breaks down analogies, or he brings in analogies that break down the original argument so much, not break it down, but break it apart and destroy whatever was being asked about. It's just so dumb.
Not enough to lose the election, and one in which he really has no effect, and El Sayed is free and clear. You would pick the one in which he has a negative effect on El Sayed. You would, in other words, it's not just that you think that it will occur. You want there to be reputational damage associated with Hassan, such that it drags down Democrats with whom he associates, just not in such a way that it jeopardizes the whole election.
I mean, ideally, I would want it to be limited. I don't want him to drag down a bunch of other Democratic Party races. But if we can use Michigan to demonstrate the point that this guy is a snake oil salesman that is horrible for the party, then yeah, there's going to be value in learning that lesson and just demonstrating it. And yeah, I mean, are you saying that you think it's bad that I have this perspective?
Yes.
Do you think my priorities are off base?
Well,
not necessarily.
I think your priorities, if you're asking my opinion, I think are off base if it's causing you to have this 30% residual. Maybe I would say there's a 1% silver lining, or whoever you want to find that. I think 30% to me is too much. So if that's the question, I think it is off base. But more than that, I think this is really clarifying, because it's not just how it's been presented before by the Wick class, the illustrious Wick class. Why, by the way,
thank God he has somebody like Wick that can serve as a proxy for some of my opinions, so he doesn't have to actually say my name or my community's name. Thank God. Whew.
The Wick class and I have a great deal of overlap. We are substantially very much aligned on many different things, but they have given an account that is the Wick class. That is, it's descriptive. Hassan is going to cause toxic damage to Democrats.
The people like me and Wick? What do you mean?
Okay, we're just calling everything a class now.
Oh, sure.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's just
Never mind.
that.
I just didn't understand what they were. I didn't know.
And therefore,
he already
we
is
need to inoculate, right? But it's more than that. It's not just descriptive. It's normative. We want there to be damage, brand harm associated with Hassan. And it's for the ideological reasons, right? And that's clear. I'm not saying that there's anything inherently wrong, but that is clear.
These are two different arguments, though. They can be running a bit in tandem, but it's not. It's just super dramatically misrepresenting Hutch's perspective, I think. I would say it is.
Clarifying and illuminated. It's a desire that is, and that's why I'm getting the vibe, I think, and I can't prove it, I can't point to it, that a lot of people, I can't prove it, want El Sayed to lose, and not just Republicans.
My chat says you're clip farming me. How do you respond to these allegations?
How am I clip farming? How is that clip farming?
He is a little bit too, especially given that he knows that Hassan literally, is literally clipping and watching all this shit all the time to gas up Pisco and then to shit on Hutch. He knows it.
How do you respond? How do you respond? It's almost like you want me to reject it. It's almost like you want me to say that I want Abdul to lose, which
no, you made it very clear you don't want him to lose. You made it very clear you don't want him to lose. And you just pull your chat, ask your chat. I'm sure that they all said chat, Hutch's chat. 1 in the chat if you want El Sayed to win. 2 if you want him to lose. 3 if you're indifferent or don't care. All right, those are.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
And I bet you'll just see a bunch of 1s. That's what I expect you'll see. So I'm not trying to clip farm you on that. I expected you to say, I unequivocally support El Sayed, and you did say that. And you said not only that, you should donate if you have the resources and inclination.
You mentioned ideology, and
yeah,
I am not motivated by my my disagreement with Hassan's ideology. That has nothing to do with this. I don't care about
it. Should. I think it should. But I mean, Hutch and I might be different on ideology. I'm not sure. Who knows?
About his ideology. It is purely my calculations, my analysis, the way I think about this is purely based on
electoral outcomes.
What I view to be his impact on Democratic Party politics and elections. And do you even disagree with me that Hassan Piker is toxic sludge for a race like Michigan, where it's a competitive race in a swing state?
I'll tell you my inclination. My inclination is that he's negative for the general. That's my inclination. That's my vibe. So we haven't had a great deal of evidence for that, though, right? My inclination is always
what is Piso's going to do this thing where he appeals to evidence, but it's what evidence would even satisfy that, right? It would have to be like a general election followed by exit polling that's like specifically asking how motivated people were about Hassan. Because whether he wins or loses, that's not even going to be enough evidence, really. Right?
And
What?
all else
Hang
equal-
on.
Like
hang
I
on.
would say right now, we have plenty of evidence in that rather than talking about anything of substance, everything in the media cycle right now is about how insane Hassan is, the insane shit that he keeps saying, and now Abdul having to tango with it.
Right now, this current moment, that's the evidence.
Yes.
That's the evidence.
No. I'm talking. What I'm measuring is the effect on results, right? That's what I'm measuring.
Well, we don't
And
need to wait for the election, though. We don't need to wait for the election to know that something is having a negative effect on Abdul El-Sayed's campaign.
Correct.
Like, we don't need to perfectly quantify that.
Obviously.
To know for
Hang
sure.
on a second, because so no. Well, what are we measuring, right? The effect on. What are we measuring?
the-
That's important to establish.
If we want to get really specific with it, we would want to measure the impact on undecided voters.
Right.
In
You
Michigan.
don't know that, right?
No, but it's kind of like, there's a fair
That's my
amount
inclination as well. All I'm saying is I don't know, but my inclination is it probably hurts more than it helps in the general election. That's my inclination. I think we're aligned in terms of belief, but there's something holding you back. Why do you think that we're not aligned there? Do you think we have evidence?
I think we have the obvious evidence. Like, I don't think we could, sure. Like, it would be nice to commission a poll, like a really reputable poll with like a fat sample size of 10,000 people, perfectly weighted demographics, and then ask people like, does Abdul El-Sayed's affiliation with streamer Hassan Piker like impact your view of him? I would feel so confident that a non-trivial amount of independent of undecided voters do have serious concerns about that.
Like, my inclination is that it would have a significant negative effect on independent voters that you've described, right? I don't know that though, right? And so that's my inclination, but it could have that effect.
Well,
it could not have that effect. It could have the opposite effect, right? And I don't know.
Well,
right? But I'm telling you that I agree with inclination.
Well, I have a high degree of confidence, and I think you should too, because really for a lot of reasons, but for two primary reasons. Like, as well as I, that a U.S. Senate campaign, especially ones that are as well funded as the Michigan race. I mean, there's going to be a lot of money pouring into that race because Republicans see an opportunity to flip a blue seat. That's a huge deal. And
Oh yeah.
Abdul El-Sayed, he's been one of the largest small donor, I think, recipients in the country, and so like he's attracting a lot of money. And as well as I that these campaigns are very sophisticated. Okay, they hire people whose entire job is to like poll the electorate, survey the electorate, and like see what potentially moves these voters. And what we know for sure right now is that obviously
The campaign's reacted. Yeah, the campaign's reacted. But I don't know if they have the data.
No, but well, you think they're just going off a hunch here? Like Mike Rogers, when Abdul won that primary, less than an hour later, they're spamming social media channels with political ads, targeting Hassan Piker, and then so there's that, and like I very much doubt that they're doing that on a hunch. Like I would bet very good money that they're actually out there talking to voters and testing these kinds of things and seeing which way it moves them. And then also you have, and then I'll shut up, El-Sayed, his camp. Now they're distancing themselves from Hassan. So clearly, both very well-funded campaigns think that Hassan is hurting El-Sayed.
No doubt about that. That's informing some of my intuition behind why I think it's likely harmful, all else equal. I just don't know that, right? And I don't have access to now those
How
things.
are you
are
ever
like
going to
maybe
know
decent
that?
heuristics, but
My
campaigns
God.
get things wrong all the time.
Oh
in terms of
my
their attack.
God! What is the point of this conversation? You can't know anything. I mean, by this standard, truly. Like unironically, you can't know 100%. If you're saying no, like in a philosophy sense, like we're talking about like deductively reason, you can't know any of this.
Oh, it turns out that wasn't very effective. We spent all this money on this ad. It doesn't look like that moved much people, right? So I'm just like, I agree with you. That's my intuition too. If you were to put me in the Mike Rogers campaign, I'd be like, this guy said America deserved 9/11, and he walked with, let's do it. But like, think about Obama and like his reverend or whatever. Like, I'm just not sure, right? I think it's okay for me to not be sure and share your inclination. I don't know why anything turns on this. In other words,
What is the value of us debating whether or not we can know for sure if this is
I'm just
hurting
being
him?
honest, right? Like, so you asked me, do you
Oh
think it's
my
hurting
God,
the
dude! There has to be something. Where it's like the advanced meme things that I don't know how to answer for. Sometimes people give these answers where it's like it's a statement that's true, but it's non-responsive. It's completely irrelevant, right? Like you're ugly. I don't think I'm ugly. I think you are ugly. Your hair is red. That's actually not true. My hair is brown. Like, why are you calling me ugly? I'm allowed to have an opinion. Like, what the what is it? Yeah, of course you are. But how did that track the conversation at all? What do you mean you're allowed to have an opinion, right? Like people just say a thing that's true that has like, it's like in the same ballpark as the topic they're discussing, but it's not responsive and it's not following the conversation at all. It's like
Obama and like his reverend or whatever. Like, I'm just not sure, right? I think it's okay for me to not be sure and share your inclination. I don't know why anything turns on this. In other words.
What is the value of us debating whether or not we can know for sure if this is
I'm just
hurting
being
him?
honest, right? Like, so you asked me,
like as opposed to you're being dishonest or like what? That's such a weird thing to say. Well, I'm just being honest. Okay, were you not before? Or what?
do you think it's hurting in general? I said my inclination is yes, but like I don't have like a strong credence that way because like I haven't seen strong evidence for that.
Right, well,
I just have like a strong vibe about it.
Well, I mean, listen, even if you want to add the caveat that you can't be certain, if you generally accept the premise.
I don't even have yeah, but that's my belief. I'm just telling you, it's not based on any like data, just like based on my interactions with people, my general, notions that people don't like people who support terrorism or 9/11 shit, or Maoists or communists. Like that's all informing my vibe. But it's just like not.
I don't know for sure.
I suspect it, but I would never go to a debate and be like, I have a strong degree of confidence, or an 80% degree of confidence, or a 90% confidence. Like I just don't have that confidence. I'm just reflecting an honest answer.
Like just so you know, almost nobody in any political campaign ever has that level of confidence. Like nobody really knows 100% that like we can't even get our fucking polls right for these elections.
Back at you. I think anyone who says that they do have strong evidence, I think they have to give an account for that. But I share the vibe. I think we can work off the vibe and the intuition.
Well, listen, if you generally accept the premise that Hassan is proven to be toxic, Abdul.
No, not proven in the general. I don't share that vibe. I have the vibe that he is likely negative. Not that it's been proven, right?
Okay. If you generally accept the premise that it's likely that Hassan Piker is toxic for Abdul El-Sayed's campaign.
Correct. Yes.
And you generally accept the premise that the Republicans will do this every time there's a race with national significance and the candidate campaigns with Hassan in the primary. They're going to do this.
Agreed.
Okay. So if you accept both of those premises, then I think even you would have to concede.
You. What would I concede?
That they're.
I like how Pisco laughs when Hutch is the first time he uses like even the slightest bit of loaded language, despite the fact that Pisco's been using loaded language the entire conversation.
There could be value in a loss like that to prevent future losses. It is shown. The toxicity is just shown in a way that's like really hard to ignore, and then future Democrats
Would that be a silver lining?
don't campaign. Well, whatever you want to call it. Like I'm saying value. You say silver lining. You have to concede that there would be value there. It would dissuade future Democratic candidates from making the same mistake.
Yeah, so based on my vibe, yes, I think that there would be some value there. But again, that's all sort of couched against the over, and you and I agree on this part. That's what's, and maybe we have a different sort of amount of value we put on it. For me, it's kind of like, until I see the evidence of the magnitude of it, I'm gonna be like, I don't really give a if it's like a point, whatever, minuscule bump.
I don't give a fuck if it's a minuscule bump in an extremely close battleground state where the primary was decided by thousands of votes. You don't give a fuck. What? Like these elections could be off by a small, less than a percentage point.
Right? It would need to be some amount of significance. Well, yeah, in general, I can understand some value. Again, we can have disagreements on the amount there, but the same thing is reflected back at you, right, Hutch? Because if El-Sayed overperformed, that's pretty, at least decent evidence, maybe, that maybe this isn't the kind of negative effect that you've been talking about, right?
If I see compelling evidence that
a victory, a convincing overperformance by El-Sayed, if that occurs, and again, I don't think it's likely, I want to stress, I don't think it's likely to occur, and there's a point I'm getting at here, but if it does occur, I think that is some evidence, again, not everything, but it's some evidence that undermines your point and the Wick class's point that they've been raising now for months.
It wouldn't be the first time that I was wrong about something. And so like, if I see compelling evidence that Hassan is not as toxic as I claim he is, then, it might damage my ego for a minute, but I'm not so ego driven that I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. Then you would just make a different point, right? Then we're done. Move on from it. Might still disagree with him, aligning with Hassan because we think we disagree with Hassan's perspectives. But I mean, we wouldn't make the argument that obviously this is electorally horrible, right? That's easy. It's very easy to give that, but I think it's very telling that Pisco is assuming that Hutch wouldn't. Like, I would be surprised if Hutch wouldn't give on that. Like, of the two people who would autistically root themselves forever inside of an argument that's fucking atrocious, I mean, Pisco still defends what we now know is the, objectively malicious lie that Hassan told about his TSA encounter. But Pisco still holds to that, 100%. So, I mean, why would he accuse Hutch of not changing his view there? That's crazy.
That's my assumptions or admit that I was wrong about something.
Is that a good thing then? So you that's what I'm meaning. Like, it's not just you desire it to have a negative effect on the general election, just not enough that it overcomes the victory. I grant that. So, I think that's at the heart of this, right?
Well, hang on real quick.
The reason you feel that tension is because you want to be right about that, right? You want to be right because you want it to have a negative effect because you want
hang on.
effect to be there.
Hang on. Well, I mean, listen, everybody's got a little bit of ego, and so, I'm not going to tell you,
he shouldn't even grant that. Somebody was linking, I'm not going to watch this link, but so apparently in chat, even Pisco was saying America losing the war with Iran is the lesser of two evils, assuming that China was quoting it correctly. So, I mean, but we all understand this, obviously.
Buddhist monk
we understand this because Republicans were using this argument against us when Trump was doing all of his crazy shit. Like, these tariffs are going to be a fucking disaster for the world. Like, oh, you want the tariffs to fail. You want them to fail, don't you? And it's like, well, I mean, kind of. Yeah, I don't want it to be thought that we can arbitrarily tariff the entire world just from the White House without any influence from Congress. That'd be kind of crazy if that worked. It would actually bode pretty poorly, I guess, for my argument related to democracy. Yeah. So, but we don't want the negative effects from it. That's why we encourage a different path initially.
No, I don't, sorry, you misunderstand. I don't mean like that. I mean, you want the Democrats to push this guy out. And part of your case for that
is Hassan, right? Not El-Sayed, right?
Hassan Piker. Yes, I'm sorry, Hassan Piker.
Yeah.
You want us to push him out. And
it's like saying, don't you think it'd be better if Hassan were to be completely removed from the race, all else equal? So if he got in a car accident and died, that would be better for the Democratic Party, right? So then you must want Hassan to die, right? It's like, it misses the point. I'm done pausing. I'm sorry. It's just, this is such a toxic, stupid fucking argument. Oh my God.
That means, again, the 10 coalition stuff. But that case is undermined if he actually doesn't have a deleterious effect
course.
or noticeable effect, right?
Of course,
So,
but I think the disconnect here, Pisco, is that I think we already have so much evidence that Hassan Piker is toxic for the Democratic Party. Like maybe not in like, you know, like D plus 30 districts in New York or whatever, you know, or maybe the harm there is like much more contained, such that I wouldn't, you know, necessarily like panic about it or anything like that, or be like overly concerned about it. But I'm not worried about this election or these outcomes undermining some position I have, because I think the jury is not out about Hassan Piker's toxicity. Like I think we just plainly know that already at this point. And so I'm just not thinking about it. When you say like you want this outcome to happen, all of this to me, Pisco, all of this has been so predictable.
Yep.
It's been so predictable that
Yeah.
the right-wing media apparatus would weaponize someone like Hassan Piker to try to hurt Senate candidate. Like they were obviously going to do this. And so
I agree.
you know, they're doing this because they know he's toxic. And so, you know, that's where I'm at with things. I'm not in my head like rooting for to be like
Oh
proven
my
correct.
God, dude.
I'm
not the proven correct thing, but you are hoping that it does have a toxic effect.
I also I just don't like that I have to be so careful with my fan base always, because I know that people don't like when they get negative pushback from my fan base. I know that Pisco must know that Hassan is 100% farming every single possible interaction with Hutch that he has. So for Pisco to like so hardcore sit here to try to farm things that Hutch is saying, it feels kind of gross. I think. I don't know. That's a little bit crazy to me.
I don't think I agree with that statement at all. Like I don't think any of this is like ideal for the party. So I take issue with
someone does associate with Hassan, you want there to be a negative consequence. That's part of the silver lining.
It's not that I want. No,
I wonder
but
if somebody helped him come up with this bullshit line of argumentation. It's so bad.
here's the disconnect again. It's not that I want there to be negative consequences for Democrats like running in these kinds of races. There just are negative consequences for this, as we're plainly seeing right now.
You also desire them to be, right? It's
No. I don't like that framing at all. I don't want any, because I don't desire for any of this. I don't desire.
Then why would it be a silver lining if you don't desire it? Why would you want a close shave victory, or why would it be a silver lining if you lost? If you don't desire there to be a negative effect.
Just because something has a silver lining doesn't mean that you desire it to happen. Like if I got cancer tomorrow and then went through like a horrible experience and I thought I was going to die and I came out the other side and I had this new profound, perspective on, and gratitude for life, that doesn't mean that going through the awful experience with cancer is something I'm rooting for. I'm finding the silver lining.
No, I agree, but like all
else equal. Like when you say all else equal, you're destroying the original point, right?
Well, let's say that cancer helps you find yourself. If someone asked you, okay, would you do cancer to find yourself? You'd be like, no, obviously not. But if someone says, okay, all else equal, would you want to find yourself? I'd be like, yeah, right?
Sure,
So
yes.
No, but that's not what you're saying. You're saying with all else equal, would you want to have the cancer, not to find yourself? Because if there was with all else equal, there's another way to eject bad ideologies from the party, then I'm sure that Hutch would probably prefer that over us losing a Senate seat.
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone gives you like a false cancer diagnosis or whatever, it turns out you didn't actually have cancer, and you found yourself in that time.
Oh my
You're like, oh
God.
wow, that's like
False cancer diagnosis is not cancer. That means not cancer. That means not having the cancer.
awesome, right? So here, if you could have your cake and eat it too, El Sayed wins, but the equivalent of find yourself here is
It's,
a negative effect with association with Hassan. You would desire that. It's not just that it would happen.
but they wouldn't have the negative effect because he'd still win the election. Wait, a negative. Hold on. Oh no, wait.
you want that.
I don't know.
Why
I don't
do you?
agree.
This is your whole
Because
position.
I don't.
Why-
No, it's not. I don't desire any of this. I wish he would fuck off and stop
but
inserting
I
himself in
understand-
Democratic
yes,
Party
I know.
politics.
But part of getting him to fuck is getting people to realize that he is a negative effect, right? And that's only going to happen if it's shown.
It's already happened. Like we don't need to like wait any longer to know that this guy is nothing but a detriment.
I'm trying to think of what would be the false cancer diagnosis there. It would be El Sayed running, not winning by as much as he could win by, and then people. The problem is that in the analogy before, Pisco gave two things: winning by 10 points or winning by 1 point. And Hutch said, well, winning by 1 point because it would be a bigger repudiation of Piker. But it also doesn't work as an analogy, because if he won it all, nobody's gonna say like, oh my God, well if Hassan wasn't running with him, he would have had an even bigger lead. Nobody will say that. So that's not even like a real thing that like nobody bring that up, because how could you even know?
In these kinds of races, we know this. It's not up for debate
So if we
anymore.
already know this, so if we already know this, why is there a silver lining with him narrowly winning? If everyone already knows it,
See,
right?
now he goes back to this. But it's a silver lining if he narrowly wins. If we know that he would have massively won, but we don't ever know that 100%, especially with the polling the way it is now.
It doesn't make sense, Hutch, right?
I'm saying you and me. I'm saying you and me know this, but wait, hang on. That's never been.
God,
There is
dude.
no inconsistency here. Like if you know that like one of the
I also really don't like. I realize it now more too, fighting, like having a big audience. I really don't like that when I fight, the implied weight of my entire audience is always behind me. So I have to be so mindful of like, hey guys, don't bully these people. Hey guys, and the celebrity going, I got to be mindful of this shit all the time, because I'm always going to be held accountable for it, because other people are going to hate me for my audience. But Pisco can just sit here and just farm without a care in the fuck world because he's hardcore farming. You know that Hassan is going to be watching these clips tomorrow or tonight and farming the of Hutch. You know that's going to happen. And Pisco doesn't have to give a fuck about it. Oh, I don't know. I'm not, Hassan's not my audience. I can't do anything about that. I don't know. Right? But and he just act like a retard the whole time. Lib Trucker, thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
One of the problems that I think is really prevalent right now is that not enough people know what Hassan is actually about. He has done, and it's kind of infuriating because he hasn't even done the best job of hiding his power level. He's not subtle when he's talking to his stream. And the Republicans have figured this out. Because now there's like probably dozens of Republicans that are watching his streams every day just waiting for him to say that.
I don't know if Pisco will engage here because I don't even know if he can engage here. But like Pisco I've never seen him have I ever? I don't think I've ever seen him engage on the ideology part. I don't even know if he has a mind for the ideology part. But it's almost always just like on democratic strategy basically. And then Bo Blue, no matter who, encapsulates every single thing he says about it.
The next
stupidest
thing.
They haven't found most of the good stuff, right?
They haven't got to the N-word. They haven't got to the N-word compilation yet. They haven't even. I'm surprised they haven't run ads of him interviewing like a Houthi pirate. Like there's so much
disputed, right?
Well,
people tell me that that's disputed, but I guess that's just Hassan coaching, right? So
well, when somebody says I'm a Houthi pirate, I usually I take them at their word. Can you give me literal Republicans that are watching his streams every day just waiting for him to say the next stupidest thing?
They haven't even found most of the good stuff, right?
They haven't got to the N-word. They haven't got to the N-word compilation yet. They haven't even. I'm surprised they haven't run ads of him interviewing like a Houthi pirate. There's so much
disputed, right?
Well,
people tell me that that's disputed, but I guess that's
just to be clear. Nobody seriously disputes that. The only time it started to be disputed is when Hassan started to get heat over it, and then Hassan claimed he's not even a real Houthi pirate, which he may or may not be. But actually, whether or not he is or isn't a Houthi pirate, that actually doesn't matter. Because the only reason why Hassan reached out to him was because he thought he was. That's why Hassan brought him on. So if he wasn't a Houthi pirate, then fine. I guess that was just a lie. But then Hassan would have never talked to him. The only reason Hassan brought him on is because he thought he was.
It's Hassan coaching, right? So
well, when somebody says I'm a Houthi pirate, usually I take them at their word. Can you give me literally 5 seconds?
Folks, I hope you guys see it, right? I hope you guys see it. I'll wait for Hutch to actually have anything substantive to say, but I'm just trying to get us to understand the entailments of what everyone is suggesting and why I feel that there's this inherent vibe about El Sayed losing being good. And again, I don't see that from everybody. I don't see it from Hutch, but I think that this is explaining a lot of it. Sorry, Hutch. What I was saying is the reason I'm bringing this up is as explanatory sort of account for why I get this vibe from a lot of people is because I think that they desire this to have a harmful effect. And for the life of me, I don't understand why you don't own that, right? Even if it just as relates to other people who don't know yet all the bad stuff he said, I feel like you should just own it. Yes, of course I would want it to have a negative effect on any Democrat who associates with Hassan.
Because it misses the point. This is the equivalent in my water thing. Like, I want children to drown when they jump into the ocean. I want them to drown. I want them to drown. That's good for me. It's good for me when they drown, when they jump in the ocean. It's like, no, you're missing the point so much. Like, you don't want them to, so you're trying to avoid the outcome by encouraging people not to associate. It's a totally different thing.
So that's what I don't understand.
But in my mind, this is like saying, if I pick up my vape and then let go of it, I want it to drop to the ground.
Yeah. There's like a million things that you could. It's just so dumb. This is just so stupid.
Like it's gonna drop to the ground. And so I don't think of it in the way that you're describing. I think like as someone who is
like you want your predictions about the world to be true. Yes, correct.
Invested in the long-term success and health of the Democratic Party, anyone in my position would want the realities of someone like Hassan Piker involving himself in Democratic Party politics being exposed, like more people to finally understand,
and having their natural and probable outcomes, right? You don't want Hassan to be like Forrest Gump, and he just is able to be victorious, and like you don't want him to be happy after this, right? You don't want him to be triumphal. Does that make sense? You don't want him to get away with it.
I think we are so past that at this point. Like I just don't understand.
Get away with it.
Very clear that that's a good goal, right?
No, but what goal? Like it's already happened. We have John Ossoff. We have a guy who has he's gotten so much national attention in the last few weeks. He's now, for whatever value you put in betting markets, he's now jumped up to like lead the betting markets in terms of like who's going to be the nominee in 2028. And so that is all that to say. That's someone who has a lot of national prominence.
Cachet.
Like people are listening to him when he speaks. And he put out a statement this morning condemning Hassan Piker by name. So like the damage is done. And Hassan knows this. That's why he's having such a horrible reaction to it.
If the damage is done, then the 30% of you should go away if the damage is done.
See, like I was just about to say this. I should have paused before. No matter what the outcome is, he's going to have a way to rationalize why actually it's fine. So if Ossoff says enough and then Hassan is, kicked out, he's going to say, well, wasn't your initial concern that you guys were worried that Libs wouldn't be able to fight back against him? Oh, seems like they fought back against him just well. So actually you were wrong about everything, right? You admit then that that actually completely debunks your entire argument then, right? You admit that, right? And the counter to that is, well, no, we don't think that John Ossoff should have had to repudiate Hassan Piker because he should have never been involved at this level. That should have happened way earlier.
that there's no silver lining. It's over. It's priced in. It already happened. Then take that 30% and expel it. Expel the demon Hutch. I'm telling you right now. Expel it. The 30% is gone. I declare it vanquished. If it's already happened, if it's already priced in, if he's already feeling it, then I command you, the 30% leave your body right now.
Why is that important to me if you accept the general premise?
Because if what Hutch is saying is true, then other people haven't arrived at that same conclusion, which means that other people are going to look to people like Hasan in the future and say, oh no, look, well, we won really hard, so actually maybe we should continue to have people like that associated with the Democratic Party, right?
Premises that I'm using to explain like that 30%. Like you agree with that. So I just don't even know. It's like you're acting offended that I have this. Well, you're saying it's a bad thing, but you agree that Hasan, you agree that Hasan is toxic, and you agree that the Republicans are going to do this literally every time. So you must agree that there would be value in future Democratic Party candidates not making the same mistake. And if Al Sayed is the one to demonstrate the folly of this kind of strategy,
it's not already priced in. There's some additional benefit of Al Sayed losing that you want, maybe not to the full loss, but at least that negative effect. There is some benefit to that occurring.
If it prevents more future Democratic candidates from making the same mistake, then yeah, there's value there. But again, when I say that's like 30% of me, I mean that shit, because I do think the most ideal outcome is to defend that seat in Michigan, so we don't have to
narrowly
win another seat.
Not an overwhelming fact. You would be disappointed to see him win by 12.
Honestly, bro, it would be like, dude, well, I'm a little worried about future races, but I would feel good if it was 10 points. I wouldn't be like, oh, this sucks, Like I would feel like good about that, because that would show me that despite Hasan Piker's toxicity, like things are so bad for the Republican Party, he can win by 10 points.
So it wouldn't undermine your toxicity point at all if he won. But let's go crazy. He wins.
Oh, see, so he's going to do the thing. So if he wins by a ton or whatever, it like no matter what the outcome is, all roads are always going to point to you have to support every single person on the farther left. Every single person has to be supported.
At 15 points, we'll go crazy. 15 points. That wouldn't undermine your case at all.
I think 15 you're getting maybe 15 you're getting closer. But I'm just saying, like, things are it just is the case that things are so bad for Republicans right now that someone like Al Sayed could very easily overcome the what would be liability, like massive liabilities, or much more of a massive liability in a more normal kind of election cycle when you don't have a president who's negative 31.
Yeah, then I think we're aligned. I think you would be fine with a Al Sayed triumphal victory, and that's your overriding concern.
I'd be happy.
And so,
sure.
And even though the narrative would be Hasan doesn't sink your campaign, right? Because that would be the narrative.
I don't know how you could get to that narrative at this point.
Because he won. Because he won.
Listen to me.
That's all that matters.
We're 3 months removed from the midterms, and things are so bad for Hasan that this candidate that he's been taking credit for
doesn't matter.
Literally, just he's been taking credit for that guy. He pretends like he's not. I'm no kingmaker, but there's multiple clips of him like basically like taking credit for that. And now that candidate is saying, I don't plan on doing any campaign with Hasan. And he condemned him indirectly.
So we already won.
No.
So we already won.
So if Abdul El Sayed goes on to win this race, it will be after he distanced himself with Hasan. And so there's no way that any honest person.
Hasan wins.
Exactly. He's in the spot, and he knows it too.
We're good. So no one should be.
That's why I'm happy. I'm like euphoric over the last 5 days.
Beautiful.
Because this is just unequivocally bad for Hasan, and he knows that.
So then, just to be clear, you and me agree. We agree on everything, and it's the other people. They're the enemies, the Wickers and the other guys, right? We agree.
It just his whole brand is like he's going to be this new political leader to revolutionize American politics and Democratic Party politics, and that just got blown up. Like it's all just completely blown up, and he knows that. That's why he's freaking out. That's why he's putting out these calls for other people to defend him harder. That's why he's like in the replies to these posts, now he's talking shit about John Ossoff, which is a guy that last week he was saying, I like Ossoff. I like him.
He's a dark horse.
He's a dark
horse candidate.
A week later, he's like this Jewish senator from Georgia. Like it's all of this is
this Jewish senator from Georgia
in the replies. Yeah, but there's more context to that sentence. But like this is obviously bad for Hasan, and everybody outside of his deranged cult of personality can see that this is not ideal for him. It just fucked this entire brand. All of that is just blown up.
Okay, then I think that we're aligned that like this whole DSA hand wringing thing. I mean, it seems like the party's in a good spot. It seems like we're good. It seems like we're all good, right?
We're getting there. I mean, it's good. I'm glad to see leadership take a more forceful tone about this and take a more forceful position about this. Like the Republicans did force the issue. Like they forced the Democrats to do this. And so I'm glad that we're like ripping the Band-Aid off now, especially with Ossoff. I'm really glad that Ossoff did that because we can skip the next year and a half of them pretending that they would be okay with Ossoff, only to turn around and call him a baby killer the second it looks like he might win the primary. Yep. We can just skip all that, and now we're at the spot that we were always going to be, which is they're going to be super adversarial with Ossoff. And I think that's good for us.
That's good.
Yes, I think that's really good for us because that guy is
But we shouldn't even be here. We should have taken care of this way before we got to the general. So even winning this fight here is not great, right? If somebody weighs 300 pounds and they lose 100 pounds, is that good that they lost 200 pounds or that they lost 100 pounds? Sure. But it would have been nice to have never gained the 100 pounds in the first place, right? That doesn't mean that being 300 pounds was good. and then becoming 200 pounds after was good, you're making the best of a bad situation. We should have never gotten this far.
Makes sense for me.
Because that guy's a fucking generational talent. That guy, it could be like the next fucking JFK. He is insanely charismatic, and his messaging, political messaging, is so disciplined and it's so on point, and it's going to connect with a lot of voters. He's going to have a lot of broad appeal, like mass appeal. And if they want to pick a fight with him, like, let's go, bring it on. I would happily line up behind John Ossoff.
Feel free to ask me anything you want. Push all that stuff within reason. Do you want them to support Ossoff or oppose him?
Oh my God! And now it's just running down. It should be no more. I honestly, God, I know it sounds mean, but it should be a rule. Like, if you're debating Pisco, no hypotheticals. They're just not allowed. They just don't serve the function of the argument. It's exclusively just for bad faith clip farming. You should never, ever, ever do. Just no more hypotheticals in Pisco debates. You shouldn't.
It would obviously be ideal if we could get as much support as we could possibly get. That would be ideal. Yeah. But do I like? The question is moot.
So you don't want them to pick a fight?
The question is no. The question is I don't think about these things in this way. I'm not thinking about like what do I want versus what do I don't want. I can't.
Well, again, surely you should, right?
No. Like, I don't think about life in that way. Like you can ask my chat. I have been telling them for like 2 months that all of this bullshit, flattery and praise that Kyle and Hassan have been and all of them have been throwing at Ossoff, it was all bullshit. Yep. It would not, like obviously that was never going to last. At some point they were going to turn on this guy.
And that was true, and it happened.
Like, I'm not thinking. Like, did I want them to, or do I not? I don't want these people to have their politics. I wish that they believed different things and weren't insane people. That's what I want. But in terms of like how are they going to interact with Ossoff? It's just predictable. They're
because the response is going to be Hutch. We're damned if we do, damned if we don't. If we support the candidate, you don't want that, and if we oppose the candidate,
no, I just told you. I think like what I would want within some kind of realistic framework from the people that I'm talking about. What I would want from them is just just some semblance of pragmatism. Like I am not.
Why does it sound like Pisco is saying Hutch wants Abdul to lose? Why? For clout? Basically, that it's all just personal petty grievances, and we need to be the bigger people and just become newscasters.
Asking for them to dole out endless praise for John Ossoff. I'm not asking for them to change their ideology and bend to his ideology. What I would want is for them to say, okay, you know what, like he doesn't have my politics and I don't like his policy positions on this, this, and this, but this is the best option that we have, and we should try to affect for the best outcome.
Okay, so that's what I want. You want them to have some sort of like qualified support for the candidate. That's what you'd like to see.
That would be ideal. Yes,
including his fund of Ossoff.
Yes, to the extent that he can, actually motivate people in his base to support the nominee in 2028. Of course, that would be.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. But I don't want him. But I do not want him campaigning or in the same room with any of those nominees because he's toxic. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I guess I have one more. If I won't ask it, I think.
Well, don't stop there. Don't stop there. Come on now.
Well,
you can't tee it up and then not.
If it were to help, if you thought it would help, I know that you're convinced that it won't, and it's already been proven that it won't, and that's where I'm at too in terms of my vibe. Again.
Okay, so we're just in thought experiment territory here?
Just in thought experiment.
Okay.
You bite that bullet and say, get him on stage.
If I thought that by sharing stage with Hassan Piker, that would help a candidate win an election and not like, and that like, even if it did potential damage to other candidates maybe in the future, but there was more like value in that, then yes, I would. Then yes, I would. 1,000%.
I think we're aligned on like most everything.
Like Liz Cheney is like a perfect example of this. Yeah. I loathe her politics, but I understood what they were going for by trotting out a Republican who says, I disagree with Kamala. I don't have her politics. We are very different ideologically, but I think Donald Trump is dangerous. And so
I thought it was based too. Mm-hmm. And I think we're just Hutch. I think we're in complete alignment actually. I think we agree. Like we agree on everything. We're aligned in practically every respect. Maybe on like the media stuff, you're like you should be focusing. I don't even hear you say that. Do you say like Josiah should be focusing more on Hassan? You don't say that.
It's so manipulative, bro. It really is. Holy shit! It's actually crazy manipulative, dude. Do I need to bring people on for like the Winter Soldier reprogramming segments? Is that like all this is? It's like now we have to run down every topic to make sure that we're in 100% super pro friendship alignment on everything. Like it's so crazy to me. Jesus Christ.
I don't hear you say that.
No, so my issue with Josiah is not that he focuses basically exclusively on Republicans in his content.
It's he attacks people who don't.
Different creators have different niches, and you should lean into what's successful for you.
Correct.
And I would assume that Josiah is a creator first and like a political advocate second, which isn't meant to disparage him. Like I think of myself in the same way. My issue with Josiah is when he goes on Twitter and
wait, what's the thing that he said that you disagree with?
He said something yesterday that I was like, it made me sad. What did he say yesterday? It was about.
What did you see, Clarice? What did you see?
There were some DGG folks, I think,
being mean.
Pressing him a bit on like Crystal and Kyle and them, I think.
Crystal, Kyle, and friends?
Well, I mean, like that space, and hold on, let me find it.
So it's more like Twitter Josiah. You have a
Twitter.
Oh my god, dude, kill me. Just Twitter, not the real one, just the one on Twitter, not the.
Does he have a beef with Stream Destiny or Twitter Destiny? Then
I don't know, dude. It's cringe.
Twitter and live stream debate Josiah. Sometimes he'll say things. He'll sometimes say things like
That's just a joke though. That's not the same.
Yeah, but like what?
Hold on, I'm trying to find it.
Okay.
Like someone was pointing out that if you're somebody that uses the language diet MAGA, I can't find for some reason I can't find it.
Oh, I think I saw that tweet, and he was like, "I disagree with it. I think it's bad."
Oh.
That's what I thought Josiah said.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
I'm pretty sure that's his opinion.
Give me 1 second to find the specific thing he said.
Sure.
He said Hassan making that false equivalence when he says Diet MAGA, I think. Plus trying to get Democrats elected via endorse. No, this isn't even the one I'm thinking of. What's the one where he's talking about Diet MAGA? Is it this one, Zublars?
I've never heard him endorse that term.
No, he didn't endorse it.
Endorse it? We're not saying he endorses it. It's you guys are indifferent to it.
Okay, here it is. Mooten.
Mr. Moon.
Uh-oh.
Senor
A
Mouton.
DGGer to be clear, right? A DGGer, right?
Mouton.
Said, respectfully, doesn't Kyle do this? Okay, so hold on. Josiah said, in reference to Kyle, until he endorses a Republican or third-party candidate and or creates a false equivalence between the two parties and or encourages his audience to not vote for the Democrats. And I think he meant by that, like...
You're an ally.
Right. And then
That's
Mooten...
just how he defines ally. Just to be
Right.
clear. Guys, that's just how he defines the term ally.
Right, but that's my problem with Josiah. So, like, specifically...
It's the terminology shit? No, this is what's
No,
happening.
no,
That's
no,
why-
no,
Oh, it's just terminology.
Wait,
Oh my God, it's just semantic. Oh, so your issue is just semantics? It's just like worthless terminology? Really?
Let me-
of the word ally
wait.
and trying to like sandbag him.
Let's just...
Oh my
Fine.
God.
Do you want to avoid defining ally?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying that's how Josiah defines ally.
No, I
And so
understand.
people are like, wait, okay.
But I think that's silly is my point, and frustrating.
This is, by the way, this is a, what am I thinking of here? Is this interesting, like definition versus semantic content? They're not arguing over the definition of ally. They're arguing over what it means to be an ally. So Pisco is using, this is like a very weird, I think semantic content, the right phrase I'm looking for. You're looking for like, what do we think encapsulates, or what can the behavior be of like an ally? And Pisco's like, oh, you just disagree on like what the definition of ally. No. It's a more meaningful distinction than that.
Wait, why is that silly?
I'm trying to get to it. I'm trying to get to it. Okay, so Mooten
It's just a word. It's just a word.
says, respectfully, doesn't Kyle do this by calling the Dems MAGA light or Diet MAGA? And then Josiah said, by definition, diet isn't an equivalence. And I'm
I
like,
think you agree with that.
I do not.
Oh, so you think a diet is the same thing? If somebody asks for a Coke and they get a Diet Coke, that's the exact same thing then.
I agree with that. If you're calling Senator Slotkin Diet MAGA,
That's crazy.
you're calling them MAGA.
Wait, no.
But then why would you say Diet MAGA?
That's
By
what you
definition, I think by definition, what I always point out is that there is a distinction, right? It's not an equivalence.
not a me.
Oh my God. I can't watch this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can survive this. You know what? Actually, I want to be back in this friend group. I take back everything I said about them. I think that Pisco is diet anti-Semitic. Is that okay? Can I say that? Is that a better...
Well, it's a distinction.
Anything that I say about them that's bad, I just meant that they're diet. They're a diet sweeper. He's a diet sweeper and a diet anti-Semitic. And then that's okay because it's a huge distinction now, right? Like very meaningful, massive distinction, right?
Meaningful,
agree with that
not a meaningful distinction. When somebody says Slotkin is Diet MAGA, what they're saying is they're basically no different from MAGA. That's what they mean when they say that. They're not giving some nuanced take about like, Slotkin voted with the Democrats 72% of the time, which puts her more in the conservative sort. They're not doing that. When they say Diet MAGA, what they're saying is, colloquially, what they're saying is, this person is basically MAGA. And that is the obvious definition of a false equivalence.
So that's one interpretation. Let me give you another one.
But think about it this way.
Person is far too aligned with MAGA. So, for example, I might call
What they're saying is, colloquially, what they're saying is, this person is basically MAGA. And that is the obvious definition of a false equivalence.
So that's one interpretation. Let me give you another one. This person is far too aligned with MAGA. So, for example, I might call Cenk Uygur Diet MAGA. I might call Jared Polis Diet MAGA. And if I said that, you would understand in that context, am I really saying that Jared Polis is essentially no different than a MAGA person?
You're saying
am I
that-
saying that Cenk Uygur... I've called, for example, TYT MAGA News because of how they covered shit. And I think people understand in context, I'm not making an equivalent to saying TYT is literally MAGA News.
When you say that they're MAGA news, though, that's an incredibly disparaging term that you're using to demonstrate how far gone TYT is and to say that they have basically jumped on the Trump train with regards to spreading disinformation, like, which makes them basically MAGA news. So
Well, listen, I think it depends on the context, the person, and what you mean by it. But generally speaking, when you say Diet MAGA, you're saying that someone is more similar to MAGA than they are Democrats.
I think that that's one interpretation. I think another interpretation is the one I gave, which is far...
the actual shortcut answer here that Hutch could ask, although I don't even know if he's going to engage with it correctly, it would say, okay, well, how do you think most people interpret it? Because these are public tweets that are going out onto public platforms. How do you think most people are going to engage with the term Diet MAGA?
far too accommodating and far too aligned with MAGA. That, I think, is another... And I think that's not an implausible reading. I think you have to agree with that. That's not implausible as an understanding.
Nobody talks about an implausible read. What is the most likely read? We are public communicators firing off tweets that are meant for public consumption. So we should be looking at what is the most likely read, not as what is a plausible read.
Yeah, but
is that
why?
implausible?
No, I don't think that's implausible in some...
it's-
Wait, hold on. The reason why
It's
I'm...
among the plausible interpretations.
It could be, but not for Kyle. That's the point. Not for
Kyle
Kyle.
has made in,
Not for
now
Kyle.
add all the statements that Kyle has made about
there's
grabbing
years
balls and voting and all that stuff.
There's but there's years of history. There's but I do try to, like, part of the reason why I get frustrated is because I try to take Josiah's view, but when I think about just the 10 plus years of Kyle doing the same thing, I don't understand how he takes that view. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't, that's just not how I think about things. When somebody demonstrates a specific behavior for as long as Kyle has, you know what he's saying when he's saying that Slotkin is Diet MAGA. Yeah. You know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's now throwing out this blue no matter who, frankly pandering at this point. That doesn't change the fact that, like, we can come to a very specific conclusion, I think reasonable conclusion about what Kyle means when he says these terms. It's just so obvious what he means.
I think it's just a difference in terms of how sincere you think this change has been, or this new frame has been. I think.
Oh my God, they're talking about Slotkin, right? That's who the Diet MAGA. That was one of the 4 times he's used Diet MAGA that day, right? What was the other thing that Kyle Kalinske said about Slotkin? I'm glad that my wife ended your career in one interview. Like, why are we giving any charitability to Kyle Kalinske, the new leaf that he's turned over? Jesus Christ.
Specific conclusion, I think reasonable conclusion about what Kyle means when he says these terms. It's just so obvious what he means.
I think it's just a difference in terms of how sincere you think this change has been, or this new frame has been. I think someone like me and Josiah, we have a different take on whether Kyle has meaningfully changed his view.
Wouldn't the fact that he's calling Democrats Diet MAGA?
No,
wouldn't that
not. Right? That's just a funny LOL term.
I guess at this point it becomes a debate about how could you think that way? And so just I don't know where to go with the debate.
There's two ways to interpret it, right? So there's two ways to interpret the Diamag comment. And by the way, I disagree with him using that. I don't think he should use the word because there could be a meaningful conflation. But there's one sense of the word in which you're essentially the same as MAGA, and there's another sense of the word which is you're far too accommodating and aligned with MAGA as a critique, right? You're Diet MAGA. You might say that, for example, right? Again, Jared Polis, he freed Tina Peters, or again to Cenk Uygur, to TYT.
Jared Polis is nowhere near the same as TYT. These are crazy. I'm not even sure if you would say that. When Jared Polis, I thought he was being a huge Trump dick. I don't know why he did. That was crazy when he let Tina Peters go and then lied about it. But is that a Diet MAGA? The whole reason why you would call somebody Diet MAGA is to say that there is an illusory difference between the two things.
I have called them MAGA news. Now, it is totally untrue for me to say that they're equivalent to MAGA, but I think people understand when I say that in context. Again, all I'm saying is he's super accommodating to the MAGA narrative, that he's willing to be way too charitable to MAGA, that kind of stuff. And I don't think that Josiah is
This is when people were asking this before. I don't remember the topic. This is why I hate our politics now, because people just deliberately play all these stupid language games, and it makes navigating any conversation literally impossible. It is a nightmare to have any conversation about anything because of how fucking crazy. And it's the most annoying part too. The reason why these conversations are so worthless as well is this isn't even a good faith conversation because Kyle Kalinske knows exactly what he was trying to do when he used that phrase. And Hutch knows, I know, everybody watching knew, but for some reason you have a lib here, Pisco, who's trying to defend it and pretend that's not exactly what the was happening. And it's what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Kyle is a political commentator. It's his full-time job. He knows what he's doing. Why are we pretending otherwise?
Fundamentally just confused by pointing out the true fact that there is no equivalence and that he believes Kyle when Kyle says that there's a humongous difference between the two parties, so as to inform the one version of the word or term versus the other.
Jesus.
You're my boy. I love you.
Listen,
you're my boy.
I love the shirts too.
You're my boy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, as long as we got that one there, then we know it's
the infinite
okay.
multiverse of universes where every possible outcome has happened. It's possible that we live in the one universe where Josiah is correct in his assessment of where Kyle is at. I just don't think we live in that universe because all you got to do is just.
How do we prove you're wrong?
Well, I think there's an easy way to do this, which is just to go to Kyle Kalinski's Twitter page and search for the word Democrats and just kind of scroll and see what he's saying. June 25th, when the Diet MAGA Democrats, what the Diet MAGA Democrats don't understand is that the more they out themselves, the more they put a target on their back to get primaried and lose. The base is no longer taking their horseshit. Proceed at your own risk. I think when
there's a collection of Democrats that he finds to be intolerable that he wants to see ousted. Consistent with what
that he finds to be not meaningfully different from Republicans. That's what he means when he's saying that. He's
that, right?
May 26th.
Even if that were true,
May 26th. May 26th. They aren't moderate. These aren't moderates, as I've always told you. They're Diet MAGA. They're simply not real Democrats. What the else am I supposed to?
No. That's all good. When he says they're not real Democrats and they're Diet MAGA, he's saying that maybe they're just a little bit more partial. Oh my God, dude, this is crazy. This is insane. right? This is an insane conversation.
They say they're simply not Democrats. What do you think he means by that?
This is yeah. What he means to say is that they're far too accommodating to Trump. It's like something you would say to Fetterman, right? Is Fetterman a real Democrat on your? So what do you think he's saying? That they're literally not Democrats?
Are we comparing like, oh well, it's like Fetterman, who is the most centrist right, whatever the. That's the guy that's going on Fox News every day to shit on Democrats. Like, if you want to apply that to Fetterman, fine. But even for Fetterman, like that's the most extreme example you'd have.
He's saying a point about their alignment and who they're aligned with.
I've already told you what he's obviously saying, which is that these people are closer to MAGA than they are the Democratic Party. That's what he means.
Yeah, even if that were true, by the way, it's all consistent with what Josiah is observing.
It's not.
Now,
he said, no, hang on. It's not, because Josiah said that he would change his attitude with Kyle if Kyle was doing false equivalences.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But that's all Kyle does. That's like, he's not, he's still doing it, you know?
Even saying that a Democrat is closer to MAGA than an archetypical Democrat doesn't mean that you're making an equivalence between them.
Of course it does.
In this case, like, this is an easy one. Hutch should just concede the whole argument. Say, okay, you're right. That's fine. But then you must agree then that there's nothing that any of these people could ever do that that Josiah would find too far. Like, can we just agree on that? Nothing that any of these people do Josiah would ever find too far. Because apparently, like, die MAGA isn't it? Calling somebody, whatever the he said about the Democrat thing is not it. Like, there's nothing then that he could ever do that would be too far.
What do you mean?
Okay, I fail to see that.
If I say that the Democrat, like Alyssa Slotkin, is closer to MAGA than they are like the median Democrat, of course I'm lumping her in with MAGA and creating a false equivalence.
Yeah, no, I'm not convinced that first of all, like I said, I'm not convinced that the term as Josiah's interpreting it is having that weight. I think it's more in terms of, because example, if you were to run down all the policy positions with Kyle, you'd be like, you agree Alyssa Slotkin is better votes on this, right? Yes. You agree that Alyssa Slotkin is this and MAGA isn't like this. How do you think he would respond to that, Hutch? If we went through the policy and be like, that's a massive difference, right? That's a massive difference, right? You think he would say no, it's not a massive difference?
I think Kyle would flail about and hurl like any ridiculous like Facebook boomer meme like conspiracy theory that ever landed on his feed about Alyssa Slotkin. He would probably hurl like insane accusations.
Well, do we know that? Is there evidence of these guys hurling crazy conspiracy theories about like Josh Shapiro and saying that he was okay with murderers and cheering for these people to have their political careers destroyed by their spouses on their news program? I don't know. Maybe there is actually.
That she, like murdered a kid in Uganda in the 80s or something like that, and that she probably secretly agrees with Republicans.
Wait, actually, hold on. I'm sorry. Is Slotkin the one who, or am I thinking of Mallory McMorrow? Did Slotkin ever used to be in the CIA? I think I'm thinking McMorrow, aren't
I? No, I think you are thinking Slotkin, yeah.
Haven't they made comments like that before, or am I wrong about that? Somebody look, Kyle Kulinski, Slotkin, CIA. I wonder if he ever has. Somebody go look at the film rot thing or whatever, or film odd or...
And is where her whole project is like working against progressives.
You have to square his statement, but in order to have your interpretation, you have to square the Manchin statement. And the way you square that is saying he's lying about Manchin, that he would vote for Manchin.
He might be lying to himself or outwardly lying to you guys, but he's lying one way or the other, because there's no universe where he's not even gonna, he's not even going to endorse like Ossoff or Newsom if they win. Like, you're insane if you think he's actually going to follow through on that. He's not gonna. He knows where his bread is buttered.
You want to bet?
I would put money on that. I would put money on that.
$100.
Let's do it. Lock it in. So
this is if Newsom or do you want to add Kamala Harris?
I am so confident in what I'm saying, and I think Kyle is we just know how he operates. That I'm willing to say whoever the nominee is, he will not like. He will.
Would I make a strong like that? Whoever the nominee is, well, they would have to get one of their wacky dudes through. I don't think they will. I don't think they can. I don't know. That's a hard one.
Not endorse.
Wait, no. Let's carve out AOC, right?
I'm so confident that AOC is not going to be the nominee.
That's how I think Hutch could win that one. Is that whoever gets through the nomination process, it's not going to be a person that they would support. Yeah.
If
I'm showing my confidence. I'm giving you an advantage. I'm showing you my confidence. Yeah. Although I wouldn't even necessarily feel all that confident that he would endorse AOC. I don't know. I actually don't know.
If you're so confident, let's raise it. Are you okay raising it? Let's do $500.
You're offering a crack at a crack right now. So obviously, yes, I am on board with increasing the terms of the bet. What do you got for me?
$500 and a public apology. Either one of us.
What?
I'll apologize to you, or you'll apologize to Josiah.
Oh my God, dude. It's so manipulative and weird and cringe.
That's tempting.
No collusion, by the way. No collusion.
I'm thinking. I'm doing the Doctor Strange calculations.
Yeah.
That is so tempting.
And to be clear about what I'm betting, what do you think? I'm betting that whoever the Democratic nominee is, he'll endorse.
I think that's very tempting. I think those terms are a little too favorable to you. Because again, I feel reasonably confident that AOC, like if she were to run and win the nomination, I do think there's like an 80% chance that he would.
One thing that Hutch should ask here too is also, what do you consider an endorsement? Because some people try to say that that Kulinski endorsed Kamala. He never did. Just because he said that you shouldn't vote for Trump.
he would endorse her.
But
But there's like a 20% chance that he would accuse her of being like a liberal Zionist who, like tacitly endorses a genocide. So I just, that would be a bit much.
So we can make it more even by the following. We can either exclude certain candidates, or we can make the term so it's 250 for me, 500 for you.
No. What we should do is just we should specify.
Oh, he did it with Spanberger?
And look, I have to say, my bias going into this is actually against her. And the reason for my bias against her is because she's a former CIA person. And like, I don't know, dog. That's one of those like, strike one, you're out. There's no 2 and 3. Like the fact that you work for the CIA. Not.
By the way, wow, strike one. Kind of bad. Oh, work for the CIA. Plattner, 4 times Blackwater, mercenary, dark, whatever the fuck. Didn't matter. Didn't matter at all. For Plattner, absolutely did not matter. He said, you can come and fuck my mom in the mouth. Hell yeah, boy. Didn't give a fuck at all. Also, somebody didn't link there. So this was for Spanberger. This is for Slacken. Wait, right? Yes. I'm not mixing them up with McMorrow. No. Yes, Slacken. She's a dino. Democratic name only. Former CIA official and Republican plant. But maybe Republican plant just doesn't mean cringe.
Specify that if the candidate is someone that Kyle perceives to be like outside of his tribe or whatever you want to call it, the establishment or
let's list the candidates.
Yeah. If it's Ossoff, see here's the thing. Here's the thing though,
everything because then it's like someone's gonna eat crow, right?
Well, now you got me walking back my confidence a little bit because if it's Ossoff, I think the thing that pushes it over the line that he might actually support Ossoff is that I actually think Kyle is like very vapid and superficial, and so just the fact that Ossoff has Riz would matter more to him than the fact that they disagree on like every policy. So like that's like a little different. So here,
you think they disagree on every policy?
Probably, yeah. I think probably, yeah. Like, except for maybe, I don't know. I assume Ossoff supports like paid family leave, but Ossoff doesn't support Medicare for All, Green New Deal. You've seen that clip. Yeah. Let's restrict it this way. Like, if the candidate is if the candidate is Kamala or Gavin Newsom, I will take that bet. $500 public apology.
Done.
Lock it in. You guys all witnessed it. There you go.
Oh boy, so you're not confident. In other words, based on this bet, you're only confident really with respect to those major candidates. You're not confident Ossoff. You're not confident anyone else. I'm
not as confident. Not confident enough to take that bet.
Okay.
Is that the money's not the public apology? That's a tall order. Okay.
1 year ago.
There was stuff about welcoming Elon Musk back into the fold.
Oh, that was at Welcome Fest?
You had Alyssa Slotkin saying stupid ass Alyssa Slotkin shit. Remember, she's former CIA. Former Bush administration.
There's no such thing as former CIA. by the way.
Facts. But also former in the Bush administration helping with foreign policy. So like, don't fall for the gimmick. This is just rebranded neoliberalism, rebranded centrism. As I said, the ones who support Zoran, at least they're good faith, and there are areas of agreement. But the one.
Okay, that's a.
Yeah.
That is. I would.
Josiah. I would apologize to you, and I can't bind Josiah, but I just think Josiah is getting so much unnecessary flack when he is just using a term like ally to mean a specific thing, and that's like you can try to be like that's the wrong way to use that term, but it's not really interesting. It's kind of like
why don't we unpack that a little bit?
God, dude.
Yeah.
When I think of the word ally, I think of a relationship with a person or an entity that is mutually beneficial.
It's an allegiance, right? But an ally is someone who you're aligned to, who you have an allegiance to, and they have an allegiance to you.
But the core characteristic is that it is mutually beneficial, right?
I mean, that's something that's found in allyships, but not
right.
It's not required, right? Like, for example, think in the First World War, you had the Austrian alliance with the Germans. The Germans certainly thought that there was a certain like a negative, like they were weighing down. The Austrians were weighing down the Germans. But I take your point that could.
What was the point of that?
be one of many reasons that you become an ally to someone.
Well, I think it is intrinsic to the definition. I think it is that the right word? Intrinsic.
I don't even understand.
Meaning.
I don't understand.
Belonging, naturally essential. Yes. So like when we look up the definition of the word ally, I hate that 99% of political debates end up debates about definitions of words. But
to be clear, they're only dragged down to these definitional areas by people that are acting in bad faith because everybody knows what's being said here. This is the dumbest, like pretending to not understand what's being said. Like everybody knows what is going on here. This is really goofy.
The noun ally is a state formally cooperating with another for a military or other purpose. The verb,
that's not what we're talking about.
The verb,
so there has to be an alternative one.
Right. The verb to combine or unite a resource or commodity with another for mutual benefit. Or if we go to Merriam-Webster for a different definition, to unite or form a connection or relation between, usually used with or to. That's the verb. Intransitive verb to form or enter into an alliance, and then the definition of alliance: a bond or connection between family, states, parties, or individuals. An association to further the common interests of the members.
Right. Yeah.
Specifically,
these are all ways in which that I think really cleanly map onto how Josiah is using the term.
I think this is kind of term. Listen, I think it's obviously when we talk about a political alliance, that would have to be something that is mutually beneficial. Because why else would you do that? What would be the purpose, or give me like a plausible scenario where I can ally with someone else and it's not mutually beneficial? Like,
well, it depends on how you're defining or cashing out like mutual benefit. Like, let's say that you ally with someone who's a really negative drain on the cause because you love them.
That's not an alliance. That's like a what do you, not a, even vassal states are mutually beneficial. That's like a refugee, like, I don't even know, but that's not would you call that an alliance? I mean, like, it kind of, but not really. Like, that's not what people mean it to be, but oh my God.
That's not what we're talking about with politics, though. I don't, politicians and people with perspectives don't align with people because they love them, and it's like, they're just doing altruism.
He likes Hassan. He wants clout. These are other.
No, but
well, that's still mutually beneficial. Why are you pretending like clout is such an unbelievable thing that somebody could find beneficial?
But that would be mutually beneficial.
Of course.
Right. So if you're cashing it out to mean like it's analytically entailed that there's some mutual benefit there, then I guess you have to decide what that benefit is. I think
you're fighting. I think
this is fighting to fight. This is so goofy.
You're fighting me on this because that if you concede that to be allies with someone in a political context, it has to be mutually beneficial. You know where I'm going with that.
Of course.
And it's going to throw a wrench in your logic a little bit.
No, if that's how you define the term. I just don't think that's how Josiah uses the term.
Then I can't possibly conceive of what Josiah like when are you saying that Josiah doesn't think that an alliance has to be mutually beneficial in politics?
Yeah, I don't think that he's using the term that way, and I don't think any of the definitions you provided have that entailed. It's one of the purposes, right?
That is
for mutual benefit. That doesn't necessarily mean that it actually results in mutual.
No.
benefit. I think even on the definitions you provided, it's not entailed that there be a mutual benefit. Just that that's one of the definitions you provided. Again, just one.
Wait, now you're going a different
a potential purpose.
Now you're going a different way with it. Now you're saying you can form an alliance with someone, but it doesn't always work out in a mutually beneficial way. That's not what I'm saying. When you form an alliance with someone, the purpose is that you're joining forces to some kind of mutual benefit.
If that's what you mean by the term, then yes,
I think that's what everybody means when they think of.
If that's what you mean by the term, like what? That's what you're arguing over right now. Is what you guys mean by the term?
Like a political alliance.
No, not Josiah. When Josiah says ally, he means something very specific, and he cashes it out. He said all he means by allies with respect to the goal of destroying Trump or acknowledging Trump as a greater evil. That's all he means by that.
That's a mutual benefit.
Like, that's not the correct definition.
No, but
that's just okay.
That's a mutual benefit, though. Like if you're joining someone because you have a common enemy, that's a mutual benefit. So, anyways,
yeah, I think this is kind of ask him. I think if you were to ask him, he probably thinks that like all else equal, Hassan, like to the extent that he's dedicating resources towards defeating MAGA, his intuition is that would be more helpful than hurtful. And my guess is he would say that. But again, I don't think that's entailed.
Dedicating resources to beating MAGA? When the f does Hassan do that?
In his definition of it.
I think
he's just using the term the way he says he uses the term.
This feels a little pedantic to me.
It is.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Wait, what's pedantic?
Because the idea that someone could have a conception of a political alliance that doesn't involve mutual benefit is completely absurd.
Goofy. As far.
Doesn't make any sense.
Absurd,
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Like you don't understand it?
When you mean absurd, what do you mean? Oh my God, dude! Holy shit!
It's nonsensical. It doesn't. Why would you do that? What would be the purpose of an alliance that only goes one way? Doesn't make any sense.
No, he's defining the term. He's using the term in a way that he's explaining. He says when I say ally, I just mean someone who recognizes the Democrats are the lesser of two evils and better than Republicans in every way, and you don't make a false equivalence between them. He just is telling you what he means. You're like, why would you use that term that way? Like
even by what he just said, that doesn't match Hassan. Better than the Republicans in every way. How many times he said Kamala be the exact same on this issue? So even that it doesn't even follow. But okay,
not tangential to the discussion. People are asking him what an ally is, and he's why not ask? Like, the thing is, here's why Hutch, I think all this is happening. People want to have the connotation of ally, and they're trying to sandbag him. So instead of asking the question, do you think Hassan is helpful or hurtful for the Democrats for a particular end, they don't want to ask that question. They just want to run a bunch of examples on the notion of allyship, and then bring in the baggage of connotation. If you were to say something like Nick Flynn is an ally, then where he would be committed to saying yes, Nick Flynn is an ally if he fulfills the criteria for the given election.
Well, because people are just asking to be consistent on your definition then, because the definitions you're giving are obviously goofy as fuck. That's why people are asking. I also like how Pisco is the one who has an issue with people using analogies to try to figure out what the fuck somebody means.
He would be committed to that. That's just his notion of ally in that context. But if you were to ask him a broader sense of ally, meaning like you should be friendly with them or they actually have a positive impact, he might.
You should be friendly? So Josiah thinks you have to be friendly with everybody who, like, Pisco's adding so much semantic content here to the term ally that Josiah wouldn't even say. You're to be friendly with somebody? You're an ally? What? No shot. This is retarded.
Give you a different answer. But what I take issue with is kind of like quibbling. He's using the wrong definition. That just seems like bullshit.
Oh my God.
That's not the question I would want to ask sweet Josiah, who I know you're listening, Josiah. He hasn't texted us. He hasn't showed up in chat, but I know you're fucking listening to this. You can hop on the call. Like the question that I would want to ask Josiah, and it's one that I think is especially important now during this cycle, and especially during this news cycle with Hassan. It's a really important question. I don't think enough people are asking the question.
How did we get here?
What value is Hassan Piker bringing to the Democratic Party? And I think that's an especially important question because
he de-radicalized
if
people.
you're mad
young audience
that party leadership are not defending Hassan,
that's crazy.
From his own rhetoric, by the way.
That's insane, by the way.
In the form of attacks from the Republican Party. If you're mad that Democratic Party leadership are not supporting and defending him,
you have lost the plot.
Then I don't think you've asked that question.
Yeah.
Like, what possible incentive would Cory Booker and Chuck Schumer and all these other prominent Democrats, John Ossoff, what possible incentive would they have to risk and stake their own reputation fighting a difficult fight? Because Hassan just makes it so easy for Republicans to
thank you, Eliminator, for 5 gifted kick subs.
Weaponize his own rhetoric That's a risk. You're asking these
Are you
Democrats
asking why should they or why would they?
there would have to be some value.
No, what are you?
Oh my god, dude. I can't, dude. Why would they, or do you mean why should they do it? Why would you ever help this person? You mean why would they, or do you mean like why should they? Like,
You asking why would they or why should they?
I'm saying there would have to be some value to the Democratic Party in order to do that, because otherwise you're just risking your own reputation. So the question is, what is that value? Like, what actual value does Hassan bring to the party?
You're asking me or?
I'm asking it generally. If
oh my god. Ah!
you want to try to like answer that question, go for it. Just because
I'm not sure.
that would be my
So I
criteria
think-
to determine if someone was an ally.
Is whether they're valuable?
Yes.
That's gonna okay.
That's gonna depend on the. I can't, dude.
That's gonna be a problem for you, Hutch, because you're gonna be committed to some weird shit on certain Democrats who are unpopular, and so your notion of value is gonna be like it's gonna be tested. If that's your definition of allies,
That's me.
someone brings value to you.
Yeah, test me then.
If they bring value, and they have to demonstrate that, or that has to be their purpose.
Yeah, of course there would have to be
What are we different? Is that their purpose, or is that something that has to be demonstrated, or
demonstrated value. Yes.
Okay. And so
I'm in favor of
I'll
cutting
just ask
any
you something.
Democrat. I'm in favor of cutting any Democrat.
So Biden, for example, in the context of 2024, not an ally.
what are we, dude? Oh my god, our hypothetical goat.
I see where you're going.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Doesn't seem to be the notion that you accept.
I
on your own
think
view.
in the case of Biden, ally doesn't quite like he was the president and like the nominee. And so I don't know if that would apply in the same way. Like we're trying to determine whether or not you want to enter into some kind of like joint agreement to defend each other or something like that. Like the calculation would just be completely.
I'm just using the notion you
completely
provided,
different.
right? I'm just using the notion that you provided, right?
Well,
Like,
that's
on
that.
your
I mean,
own
you're
notion
pointing
of
out.
value.
Like the problem here, I don't know if Hutch will pick up on this. I don't think I would pick up on this in the middle of the debate. The problem here is Pisco is intuition pumping and then completely shattering what we mean when we say ally. Nobody really considers like an ally is somebody that's like helping you in the fight. But it might not be like you yourself. Like, so for instance, when gay people talk about like, is he an ally? It's like, well, what is an ally? An ally is somebody that advocates for a cause. They help us from, they advocate with our cause against other larger groups of people. And I was like, oh, would you say your friend is an ally because he's gay? It's like, well, no. I mean, he's gay. He's the one that needs the ally. I don't know if we say gay people are allies to each other. I mean, I guess they kind of are, right? Like the allies that we're talking about here are people like in the media sphere that are hopefully helping the politicians. I don't think we would expect any politician ever to be an ally. That's just not the role that they serve. That's not the function of a politician is to be an ally. The function is to be a politician. The allies are the people in the media that try to get them elected. Like we're their allies. We try to get them elected. And then we're allies to each other to build up our party and everything. I mean, like you can have a conversation about them being an ally to the cause of the Democratic Party. But that's a more esoteric conversation. Not generally what we're talking about. We're like, we need allies right now. Who are allies? The guy who's in office. Like, well, I mean, like, kind of, but that's just not really what we're talking about when we say that.
Maybe an interesting flaw in my logic, and maybe I'm not smart enough to navigate that little rant.
Yeah, if Hutch thought about it for a second, he probably could. It's just a really weird way to torture the word ally.
But
You're smart. I think the people, and guys, let's chill in the chat. Seriously.
your chat, come let them get animated. Fuck you guys.
So, yeah,
I
I think you should go for it.
I just let's not stray from the question because it's a really important question, right? I mean, you would agree, right, with the idea that if you're expecting or wanting the party, like the leaders of the party, to defend or wanting, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like in either case, if you either expect support and defense from the Democratic Party or you want support from the Democratic Party, you would agree, right? Obviously, you would need to, like, if you're in Hassan's spot, have demonstrated some value to justify the risk to their reputations.
So I'll answer both the expectation and then the kind of desire / normative aspect. I would agree that if you want to expect people like Cory Booker et al. To defend you, it's kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch mine. No one should expect these people to defend Hassan Piker. That's the expectation front. In terms of like whether it's a good thing for them to defend, I actually think that like whether you've demonstrated value in the past, maybe that factors some in terms of the future, but I think that they're also looking at like future value / detriment, right? Like even if it's the case that he's shown value, and I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I have an intuition about Hassan.
This is like this is like Jordan Peterson tier style of conversation. This is actually crazy, dude. Oh my God, I don't know if I can handle. I would be screaming. This is just so wild. This conversation is just so pointless. Holy shit.
Being a negative on a candidate in a general, but overall in the electorate, my intuition flips. And my intuition is just having like a handsome person activate people politically who are generally on the left. My intuition, again, without data, and we should get the data, someone should commission the data, is that all else equal, that will probably just activate more people and they'll vote for the more left-wing candidate.
We do have data.
That. That's just my vibe on what.
But yeah, the polling on that is not good, but.
We do have data. We do have national polling from like 3 or 4.
But this isn't going to count, though. It's not going to be asking a specific enough question for Pisco. That's why I said the things that he's asking about are never going to be things that he'll be satisfied with because nobody is ever going to poll around the specificity that he's trying to define these things as, ever. That will never happen.
On his popularity. That's different. That's on his popularity. That's
wow.
See, exactly, yeah. This Pisco will never be satisfied. There will never be a way to answer this question for him. Oh, my God, dude.
his effect on voters and their decisions.
Well, I think we could draw a reasonable inference or deduction from negative polling.
That's some kind of empirical shit that someone needs to do. That's some kind of like thing that someone needs to think about. I'm not willing to just jump. Again, maybe it's true.
Okay, I'll concede that point. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
So like I have an intuition that he's going to be a drag on a particular race in which he's heavily involved in the general, right? But my intuition flips on the net effect on voters, and these are just vibes. I'm telling you. But even if that were all the case, right? Like I almost think that what you do in the future should be dependent on like your intuitions about the effect he's going to have in the future. And on that, yeah, like why defend Hassan if it doesn't provide a benefit? I'm with you there. That's the same thing that you say, by the way, on Biden, right? You say, listen, if you want to throw Biden under the bus, if it's helpful, you've been the first to say, or Kamala, right? I think with Peltola in Alaska, you've said, like, I don't have a problem with her throwing Kamala under the bus or not accepting her.
Or Rob Sand in Iowa is another really good example. He's out here saying, like, he's shitting on the party, and I'm rooting for it because Iowa.
I agree with you. For me, like, consequences are going to be a big factor in, like, should we help Hassan on something? And I'm not convinced that, like, full-throated defense of Hassan right now is in the best interest of the party. I mean, I know you're not convinced of that.
No one is saying that, and no one is saying that's even your position. So it's just, dude.
And I'm sure that like past experience plays into that, but that's just kind of how I view the situation.
I mean, I think that's putting it mildly though. When you say you're not convinced of whatever sentence you just said, because like it sounded like earlier you agreed with me that the Republicans are using Hassan to force essentially like a no-win situation, like in Michigan, and they're going to do
what I would do. I wouldn't defend Hassan if I were a Democratic nominee. If you're asking me what I would do, what I would suggest.
All right. Well, listen.
But I've never done that. I've never said that yet.
Well, listen. I think you came to that conclusion because it doesn't bring any value to the party. Or net value. Yeah, you could bring some value and have the negative stuff outweigh it.
Yeah, you could just go through it and be like, okay, yeah, fuck what he said, fuck him, whatever, and that decision benefits you as a candidate probably. But also, I don't have a problem also if someone makes a decision strategically that I don't agree with that statement, but I want to focus on MAGA. I think you have a big issue with that statement. Would you?
No, I don't think. Well, listen, it's not about me.
We're aligned.
It's not about me.
I'm asking you. I'm having a conversation with you.
No, but that's the wrong question because Abdul Al-Sayed.
Wow, Jew Navik. Thank you for the 5 subs in Kick Chat.
He's not worried about getting my endorsement. He's got to get the endorsement of the various groups in Michigan politics that whose support he needs. And so if he's got different advocacy groups or state representatives, state senators, or like prominent Democrats in that state that are saying like, look, I want to endorse you, but I do not feel comfortable with your association with Hassan Piker, he's got to think about them. And so to that end, he probably should do a more forceful condemnation. So I think I take that back immediately. No, I don't think it's enough.
So let's talk about Ossoff then. Let's talk Ossoff. Ossoff says, listen, guys, I don't give a shit about Hassan. All right, I'm focused on the issues in my state, in Georgia, and that's Collins. Would you take an issue with that statement?
No, I would not. No. But
I think a lot of people in your audience would take an issue with that statement. What if I'm right about that, about Hassan? All right, I'm focused on the issues in my state, in Georgia, and that's Collins. Would you take an issue with that statement?
No, I would not. No. But
I think a lot of people.
He's got to think about them, and so to that end, he probably should do a more forceful condemnation. So I think I take that back immediately. No, I don't think it's enough.
So let's talk about Ossoff then. Let's talk Ossoff. Ossoff says, listen, guys, I don't give a shit about Hassan. All right, I'm focused on the issues in my state, in Georgia, and that's Collins. Would you take an issue with that statement?
No, I would not. No. But
I think a lot of people in your audience would take an issue.
What do you mean by take an issue with? You see how he's backed this off into some meaning, like they would take an issue with? I mean, like, I guess I would want him to say something, sure. But when you say take an issue with, like, the problem is not that Abdul Al-Sayed is like a random guy who hasn't said anything about Hassan Piker, who's a random guy in the media. It's that these guys campaigned with each other. I don't know why I'm stopping to say any. Oh my God, this is such a waste of time conversation.
An issue with that statement.
No, this is
one if I'm
so
right about
goofy.
that.
That's so goofy.
Two if I'm wrong.
I guess like I want to see prominent Democrats like draw these lines, but it doesn't have to be everyone. You know what I mean? So if everyone took the view that or took the same approach as this hypothetical Ossoff, but just avoiding the confrontation or avoiding the question, then I think that would be bad for the party. I do think there needs to be a public, like right now the Republican Party, they want normies to think that Hassan Piker is in the driver's seat of the Democratic Party. Do you agree with that?
The Republicans want the normies to think Hassan is some figure of esteem and repute within the party structure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So stands to reason that we do need Democrats that are very publicly signaling to normies that this is not the case. And the only way that you can actually do that convincingly is a pretty forceful condemnation. I mean, it can't be mealy-mouthed. It can't be like, oh, you're muting. You're muted. I can't hear you. What the f happened? Your mic is... Boomer, technical issues. Why do people get weird about this? I have large hands. I'm a large man, and I think you guys are weird for having your
mealy-mouthed. All right. What I was saying is, I don't know. I don't know whether a mealy-mouthed deflection will have one effect versus a full-throated like condemnation. I don't know that.
Well, let me tell you what I think like the ideal statement would be, like, and this is just I think just true in politics across the board, is anytime a politician puts out any kind of a statement, there's always a reason for that. And what I think every politician is trying to do is like maximize good and minimize harm. And the harm in this situation would be any kind of perception from median voters that the party is essentially being led by Hassan Piker. And so in order to mitigate that harm, address that harm, it does need to have some kind of weight. Like it can't just be like a throwaway. Like I think Abdul's message that he put out the other day
because Chuck Schumer can do no wrong. Like, it kind of reminds me of the Chuck Schumer can do no wrong stuff where it's like, well, if politicians are doing it, that's evidence that they have to do it or something. But I was like, why? Why do you have this strong belief?
Wait, I thought I was walking you through it. Would you? Oh, well, I guess we have to establish a few things. Like, do you agree that it would benefit Republicans if more normie voters than not held the view that Hasan is essentially like in the driver's seat of the party or holds a lot?
Wait, is there any way to do? Oh, you can't see my circuit conditions. Fuck. I'm trying to make it so that either all my requests are satisfied, or any of these is at 0. All requests are satisfied, or any of these are at 0. So I'm going to do or, and then I'm going to group all these together and then say or. Is it possible to do and a group of things, or is that not possible? Or do I need to do circuits for this?
A lot of, okay, all right. So that's kind of a big deal, right? Like the public perception of the party among normie voters. No, but I was going to get there. I was going to get there. Like the ideal statement, I think, in a lot of cases, and I guess it just depends on the electorate too, because maybe if you're in like you're a representative in an R+20 state and you're in like a D+5 district, maybe you need to be more forceful. But the ideal kind of like deflection or the addressing of the perception would involve a kind of deflection. So you say a strong statement and then you find a way to end it with something like, but my Republican colleagues only want to have a conversation about Hasan Piker because they don't want to talk about the cost of gas and live. It would be something like that. It would be some kind of redirect as well.
Yeah, but like the thing is, I don't. So with respect to the ideal response,
wait, don't group them or. So the reason why I can't do all of them as or is because if my requests are satisfied, I don't want to have ors here. I only want the ship to leave the station if I'm missing one of these things. So this can't be an or because then it'll always just fly away immediately. So I need this to be satisfied, and then one of these. You need to make a Volcanus products interrupt.
I almost feel like a deflection. This guy doesn't matter. Whatever. He's a Twitch streamer. Like versus it is so profoundly unserious that he has any platform. Like it almost seems like putting too much of an emphasis on it. Some people could get the intuition that implies like a stronger tie than actually exists or something. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know this. Like, is a deflection better versus an outward condemnation in terms? And again, just not in terms of like the underlying moral issue, just in terms of the effect on the electorate. That's all I'm saying. I don't know one has a stronger or less strong connection. It feels like having a strong condemnation almost puts it in the news more. So I don't know. But like that's just the vibe.
Well, here's where I think the problem is with that on this particular issue. I'm assuming Abdul and his campaign did not put out that statement to proactively address things. Okay. I assume his office got inundated with calls from people that he's trying to court right now. He is right now in the state of Michigan trying to build a political coalition, which hopefully involves like a broad ideological spectrum. Like that would be, if you're running for a seat like that, you got to bring in you got to try to addition, no subtraction kind of a situation there. And the problem with Hasan's clip that's going viral is that regardless of his intent, and I'm not necessarily being charitable with his intent, it reads like a threat.
Yeah, neither am I.
It reads like a threat.
Yeah, I think it reads that way. Yeah.
The normal people, they hear that and they think, nice Judaism you got there. Sure would be a shame if something happened to it. Now, I'm not saying that's what he was doing.
I agree. No, I agree that that's how it reads too.
So if Abdul is getting inundated with calls from like Jewish advocacy groups, and there's reporting on this, we now know that state representative, Moss, the one who Hasan had his tweet on the screen when he was doing that whole fucking rant, they were negotiating an endorsement. And so I assume if Abdul is going to that guy for an endorsement, obviously Abdul sees value there. And
yeah, I think it was right for him to come out.
Now the reporting is that endorsement is imperiled. And so Hasan Piker literally possibly up a really important endorsement in the state. And so for something like that, the reason why it can't be mealy-mouthed is the people that are expressing their concern and outrage about the Hasan clip, they're not going to be appeased by something that's like half in, half out.
So if you could demonstrate me some like very important endorsement, some very important benefit from some insider, I thought we were just like focusing on the effect on the independent with respect to the statement itself, not with respect to endorsements or other kinds of things. Yeah, obviously, if that strong statement is needed to get some other constituency that's more sensitive to the disavow being forceful, then yeah, I would totally understand that. Yeah, but I just wasn't aware that that's what you were talking about.
But I feel like you can't disentangle the two. Like they go hand.
I just didn't know what you were referring to. I was understanding you to be asking about like independent voters.
Well,
like,
it's
voters.
Well, it's both.
No, that's what I thought you were asking about, Hutch. So if you bring up, it's not just them, it's also key stakeholders, then yeah, I could understand that. But I just didn't know that you were referring to that with your question. But do you have a problem with that side statement?
Yeah, I think it was bad. I don't know who that statement was for because Abdul Abdul.
Everybody agrees with Hutch, by the way, on the far left, but it's going to be funny to see Pisco disagree.
Put himself in a really dumb position, and it is frustrating because McMorrow and Stevens pointed this out when it happened. When they were watching him share the campaign stage with Hasan, both Stevens and McMorrow said, like, this is going to be a problem. And they were incredulous at the idea. Obviously, they were arrogant about it. Like, because you can't have a situation where you're doing campaign stops with Hasan, and then there's like 5 clips of you doubling down on that, or like 15, I don't even know. And then you're taking pictures with Hasan Piker at your victory party, professional pictures, like the media. They wanted that relationship publicized. Like that's.
But we're talking about the statement, right? So I get that.
I'm trying to set up like the reason why I don't think it was a good statement. Because if you put out a statement and like he does mention Piker by name in the tweet, but then
when it came time to evaluating Kyle Kulinski's behavior, it had to be like holistically with the new leaf that he's turned over, looking forward to the future. But now for the statement, it's like, well, in a vacuum. Well, just a statement, in a vacuum, just a statement, in a vacuum.
Then you get to the statement itself, and he doesn't mention Piker by name and doesn't actually specifically reference anything that Piker said. And so if you're like a Jewish advocacy group and you're looking for a forceful condemnation, because you hold the sincere view that maybe what Hassan said is contributing to a climate of anti-Semitism, I imagine that they would not be very satisfied. And then it's also, you put yourself in the shoes of Hassan's base of support. And even though it was not a full-throated condemnation, or as I took it, I don't think it was, then they still see that as a betrayal. And so when I look at just the replies to that post, it just feels like it pissed everybody off. I don't know who the post was for. It's like either do it or don't. I would rather he not say anything.
Really?
Yeah, than that. I mean, I would rather him come out with a forceful condemnation and just like straight up say,
but then doesn't this undermine your last point that you want the Hassan people to be damaged a little bit? Doesn't this damage them? So aren't you being hyper? I don't know what he's going to say. Sorry, I don't know.
He has no part in this campaign.
I would mistake to involve him ever.
I don't know if it's smart in politics to admit mistakes, but I mean,
that's what I'm saying. The kind of forceful condemnation that you're suggesting seems to be at odds with not admitting a mistake, which you obviously think that it was a mistake. But just putting that aside, is it like, imagine that you were to say Hassan does not represent this party. He's a disgrace. He's an anti-Semite. He's a hateful person who supports terrorism. And that it was and therefore he's a bad person. You wouldn't want that statement, right?
No, I don't think I would want it in that way.
So like, how can he win on your eyes? He either doesn't condemn it or he does this condemnation, but you actually don't want him to go too hard.
He can't.
So what's the kind of statement you wanted?
Well,
it's crazy.
Well, the point is he can't win, and it's his own fault. That's the point.
So why are you upset with the fucking apology? What would be better?
Because I want him to go with the least bad option. That's what I want.
Okay,
he put himself in this really stupid position of, publicizing his friendship with Hassan, doubling down, acting super defiant about it. And now they're doing these pathetic deflections of like, are we really talking about a Twitch stream?
That's a sunk cost. That'll happen, right? So what should he have done at that moment? What would you have said that was good, that he did this?
He needed to identify the language that was problematic, describe why it was problematic, affirm a commitment to Jewish people in the state that saw that comment. And
he said that he's committed.
No, I'm just saying. Right. I know he said that.
Just so you know, like it can't be enough when you've done an action that makes people not trust you. I can't even believe I have to explain this. When you've done an action that makes people not trust you, your counter to that can't be, I'm gonna protect these other people in the future. There's like if I were to do a thing to hurt black people, I would have to do a thing to help black people. It's not enough to do a thing to hurt black people and then to make the statement, I just want you to know, guys, I love and I'm going to help black people, and then not do anything, right? Like you have to counter an action with an action. So when somebody's done something, like appeared to have been endorsed by or campaigned with or had a campaign surrogate who seems to be pro-terrorism, it's not enough to say like, oh, well, I am pro supporting the Jewish community. Like it doesn't ever feel genuine and whatever. I can't even believe I have to say that. But
I'm just saying, like, I'm giving you all of the necessary components of what I think qualifies as an adequate condemnation.
So quoting the thing that I see that's different than what he did and what you described so far, again, you can add other elements, is quoting specific parts of what Hassan said.
You don't need to quote it, but you need to reference this with specificity, like the thing that made people uncomfortable or angry or whatever. Like you needed some degree of specificity. And when I read that message, it read like Abdul El-Sayed wanting it both ways. Like he wanted to assuage the concerns of people whose support he ostensibly needs in that race, but he didn't want to alienate Hassan's audience because he understands that.
This is why it feels like Goldilocks to me. Like I get that, but
that's his fault. But that's his fault.
Yeah, whether it's his fault or not, right? It does feel like a no-win scenario because on one hand, you wouldn't want him to be like, Hassan is a Maoist. It's clear he doesn't care about democracy. It's clear he supports terrorism. It's clear that he wants to destroy the Democratic Party. You would like not want him to say all that shit.
I wouldn't want him to say that because it would be completely inauthentic coming from him. And so, obviously that would just be, people would be like, what the fuck is this?
And say nothing, like, let's be honest, say nothing would be like something that you, all else equal, don't want to happen.
No, I don't want that to happen.
The critique we landed on is like, well, it should be kind of a middling condemnation, but it should have been a little less middling than what he actually did.
I don't think it should be. No. I wouldn't use that language. I don't think it should be middling. I think it should directly address the concerns that people had as a result of that clip. And I don't think that statement did. Do you get the same sense? Do you agree with me? Like, I think that Abdul saw that like the grassroots online support that he got from that space was probably like really crucially important to that campaign. And yeah. Okay, so really? That people had as a result of that clip. And I don't think that statement did. Do you get the same sense? Do you agree with me? Like, I think that Abdul saw that like the grassroots online support that he got from that space was probably like really crucially important to that campaign.
Maybe like early in the beginning. I don't know just from Hassan's audience. So I'm not believing that one.
And
yeah.
Okay, so to me, it really did seem like he was making an effort to only go so far to not alienate Hassan and his audience.
Yeah, he wants to do everything. He doesn't want to admit to a mistake. He doesn't want to do a condemnation that's, in other words, not do a condemnation that's so forceful that it's totally out of coherence with what he campaigned in the primary with. He doesn't want to alienate too much his base, even though I think that's kind of like whatever. He also wants to say something. And so that's like, I don't know. I feel like yes, maybe it was a mistake to ever campaign with the primary, although would he have won?
Maybe.
Do you think that Hassan would have, but for the Hassan engagement, that El-Sayed would have won?
Maybe not, but at what cost? Like if campaigning with Hassan Piker gets you over the finish line in a primary, but it leads to a loss in the general, that's obviously not good or smart. We can't. We would never give credit for someone winning a primary if they lose the general. We would just never do that, right?
but what you're suggesting is that there's at least some evidence, perhaps, given how close the race was, that Hassan may have been outcome determinative. At least
Yeah, maybe.
But maybe in the other way too, right? Like what?
So yes, honestly, yes. But that's a devil's bargain. That's devil.
Like we don't even know that, right? Like it's funny. Remember what I said earlier? Is that if Al Sayed were to win the actual election by 0.5 points, people like Pisco wouldn't be saying, "Oh, well, he could have won by 10, so maybe Hassan hurt." He would be saying, "Oh, he only won by half a point because of Hassan," and he's doing the same thing now with the primary. Like, "Oh, well, maybe Hassan being there was the only reason why Al Sayed beat Haley Stevens or whatever." And it's like, or maybe he would have won by way more, or maybe not. Who knows, right? Because he has no polling data to base it on whatsoever.
Devil's bargain, bro. Like, you're going to pay for that in the future. Yeah.
Right, but that's a sunk cost. And so when we get to the actual statement, now it's like, oof, walking that tightrope. It seems like a very difficult endeavor. And
it is, and it should be. To have a campaign surrogate who is openly endorsing terrorist attacks is going to be a difficult tightrope to walk afterwards. Yes.
Even you acknowledge that. And so give him so much grief over, you didn't specifically.
Give him so much grief. A joke. This is a joke.
State that this seemed to be, a threat.
For most normal human beings, it's not that hard. You just don't. You don't campaign alongside somebody who's supporting terrorism. It's usually a pretty easy thing to do. That shouldn't be that hard. But the standards are in hell, I guess, for everything. It's a joke.
Like, really, is that the big complaint? It doesn't really seem to be the big complaint that most people, I will say, in the WIC class have. I think people in the WIC class are like, you should have disavowed him completely and utterly, but you don't go that far.
Wait, are you asking me if I think that Abdul should disavow him completely, Hassan?
Yeah, you didn't think that he should have.
No, 1,000% he should. I just took issue with the language that you chose. He should
so
absolutely
should he disavow Hassan completely.
Yes, he should signal that he is cutting ties with Hassan, and he should have done this the moment the primary was over, instead of taking professional photographs with him. It's like when he did that. Do you understand that was him? That was arrogance. You understand that? That was him being arrogant. You guys were wrong. You guys tried to get me to abandon like my friend and this movement. That was purposeful. I don't know how else to explain. Like allowing a professional photographer from the AP to take a picture like that. That wasn't an accident.
How does that look? So you win the campaign with Hassan, in your mind, at least plausibly being outcome determinative, and then you immediately, without any prompting, like, I disavow Hassan Piker on the night of your election. Like,
well,
how does that make any sense?
It doesn't. But that highlights the point that I'm making, which is that it doesn't make sense to feature Hassan or can't.
That's priced in, right? That's
right. It is, but everything cascades from there. So like, there's nothing but bad options once you decide to do that, because the tax man's going to come and collect his you. And that's exactly what the Republicans, like, you took on a debit and you did that, Abdul. You took on a debit, and the Republicans are, showing up to collect that right now. And if I had to guess right now in this moment, Abdul probably regrets what he did.
Okay, but all right, maybe he does. Although, would he, if it was necessary for his victory in the primary? I don't think he would regret it. Would you? Would you regret it?
If I did something that helped me win a primary, but was the reason why I lost a general, of course I would regret it.
No, but like, I think he thinks he's going to win. I think he wants to win.
Well, he obviously wants to win, but he obviously thinks that the Hassan stuff is hurting those chances now.
God, dude.
So it's like,
agreed. But he's also not disavowed Hassan totally as a person. And I think that your inclination there, it's running into the same problem. If he disavows Hassan as a person, they're like, okay, what made you change your mind from taking his picture and disavowing him?
The most frustrating thing for all of these, and write it down now, the most frustrating thing for all of these is that if Al Sayed loses, they're also going to blame the libs. And they're going to say, oh, it's because you guys were all, snarking him the whole time. Oh, you guys wouldn't get behind him. Oh, you guys were constantly fighting over Hassan this and Hassan that in the media. That's what they're going to say.
It's like, oh, he said this one thing. Oh, so it wasn't when he called Orthodox Jews inbred. It wasn't when he said, I don't like, do you understand how
he would have
horrible that would look?
He would have to somehow convey authentic concerns about, like, he would have to authentically.
Oh, see what Hutch is getting at, whether he realizes it openly or not. What Hutch is getting at here is that an action has to be countered with an action. It can't be enough to just say like, oh, well, who knows? He said this thing, but then he said he'll protect those people in the future. It needs more than that. You need something more than that.
Validate Jewish Michiganders' concerns. And hopefully it would be authentic. It would be sincere. He would listen to people speak, explain their experience, explain why they think that language puts them at risk. And ideally he would take that in and realize, like, yeah, they have every right to be concerned. It makes sense to me. And then communicate that. I don't know if that's what's going on over there right now. I can't explain what Abdul is doing. It doesn't make sense to me.
What would be more assuring to the Jewish community than throwing this under the bus completely, totally, utterly?
Well, that's what I think he should do. What do you mean?
But, okay, so then give me the statement he should come out with tomorrow.
I'm not a speechwriter, but like, you don't need to like.
But the kind of thing, like, he should come out and say,
I'm giving you what I think whatever the language is. I'm giving you what I think the goals of the message should be, which is to assuage the fears of people that have concerns, validate them, and put distance, like put distance there, and make sure people.
I think that's what the statement did. I think the statement it serves its purpose. It's not a mistake. It's head off any kind of question he might be asked on, like Fox or something. He'd be like, listen, I did not agree with that statement. I came out against it forcefully, but this is not the issue. Like, he wants people to say that, and he did a flat.
It's not working. It's not working.
Okay.
It's not. It's not going to work. And
well, maybe we'll see. We technically don't know the answer to that yet. Hutch is selling that a little bit too much right now, but
Hassan himself.
Will the alternative work? Will the alternative work of disavowing totally? Will that work better?
I don't know. It might be too late. I don't know if it would work.
Then how can you say you disagree with his statement if you don't?
Oh my god, dude! Because every leftist said it was a horrible statement, and they all fucking hate him for it. And we don't know yet if the moderate people or if the Republicans feel like they've gotten enough to leave it alone.
No, anything about whether it would be better to do the complete disavowal.
Because my calculation is that the statement that he put out was worse than the least bad option. The least bad option is validating like the people who have, like he is. You understand? Like he is courting the support of Michigan Democrats. He's trying to get as many endorsements as possible. His numbers were awful with Jewish voters in that primary with Stevens. So he's got work to do. And the way that you do that is you secure endorsements from politicians that Jewish Michiganders respect and have credibility, that have credibility to those voters. And now, like a really important endorsement on that front is now in jeopardy. And so, like the statement that he puts out, in my opinion, was like half in, half out. And then on top of that, you got this moron Hassan who's on his stream the same day saying, "Don't worry, guys. Abdul still agrees with me on this stuff. He's not." It's just like, it's like, what are you doing? And it's like and so I get the sense like right now that both of them there's too much ego going on for like both of them. There's way too much ego and arrogance on the part of
They're
Abdul.
both looking out for their self-interest.
That is not what I look for in politicians. These are not qualities that I value.
Well, he also wants to win the race, right? So I just mean in terms of winning the race. He wants to win the race.
Well, I assume so. Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption.
Right. So given that, I mean, before you were like, well, given the fact that they're coming out and saying something, don't you think it's negative? Don't you think that they've done this calculus? And why wouldn't you defer to their? It seems like you're
why does this interrupt not playing?
Saying anything.
Fuck.
That they've done some sort of like
I don't
sound analysis that it's hurtful.
I'm saying at this point, I don't trust Abdul El Sayed's judgment. I'm saying at this point, he has demonstrated enough. Like he's made enough mistakes, and he in my view continues to make these mistakes in a way that makes me really question his judgment. I said the same thing about Plattner. Like that was my number one issue with Plattner. As soon as the stuff started coming out, was like, wow, this guy seems to have horrible judgment, and he seems to be like gravely miscalculating. And and I have the same kind of.
Well, I guess he calculated correctly if you think that he was important to the win. It sounds like if he listened to you, he would have lost.
Plattner?
El Sayed.
Well, sure, maybe, but like I don't understand the point that you're making when you say that, because to me, if like it doesn't matter if Hassan helps you win a primary, if he's the reason why you lose a general and he's now up really important endorsements in the state, that doesn't justify the decision to do it in the first place. It's myopic and short-sighted.
I would agree that if you think that this is going to be a huge like weight on you in the general, and that's the only way you're going to win. Right?
It already is.
That, right? Yeah. But if you think that like I do, that he still has a good chance of winning, maybe you think differently about that. The last question I'll have, and then I'll let you go. I know that
Holy shit! This has been a completely pointless conversation. Oh my god! Interrupts only trigger when a thing is about to leave or arrive. Why didn't it activate here? Do I have to push play on it and then put it back in the queue, or what?
Sprung this on you. I thank you for being game or whatever. But what's the name of the guy, the endorsement that you just referenced? I forget his name. Or
something Moss.
Okay. Would you condemn if he doesn't endorse El Sayed?
Oh my god, dude.
No.
Why?
Because I'm not going to tell a Jewish person that.
Oh, you're doing this?
I am.
Oh my god, dude. For Jeremy Moss to be on screen while Hassan is basically saying that Jews are at fault for their own anti-Semitic hate crimes is crazy, dude. It's okay.
And I did the same thing with Palestinians in 2024. I'm not going to be some white Gentile, telling a Jewish person, get over it, bro. I'm not going to do it. And I didn't lecture Palestinians with a direct tie to Gaza. You can call me a coward. It's just I don't. If other people want to fall on that sword, fine. I've had private conversations with people that reached out to me, and I've told people privately, like, if you want to be this person that wants to like criticize Palestinians in that way, go for it. But that's you're taking on a big old optics like load.
On your standard, you said key endorsement, right? And if Hassan said, well, I'm a Muslim, and I see all these Muslims who are being, so I'm not going to endorse Muslims being hurt.
If Hassan was like a completely different person,
you would not accept the identity politics from Hassan as a justification. And you said this guy was a key endorsement.
I don't think everything is like cynical identity politics. Like I don't think it's identity politics to say that that someone like Abdul El Sayed.
Like I understand they're friends, but like this conversation this is like a CIA strategy thing or whatever. Like this entire conversation was a total waste of time, and there was no question and nothing of value was discussed here. Like every single thing here was known from the beginning. The amount of like torturous metaphors and analogy practice here that is doing absolutely nothing to advance any part of this conversation is insane. Jesus Christ.
Should have to like address these concerns, Like,
no, we're talking about the decision to endorse or not endorse, right? There's one standard for this person in Michigan, right? And you're like, I'm not going to condemn for not endorsing. But and you're like, because I would never condemn a Jewish person for failing to endorse someone who walked with Hassan Piker.
I wouldn't.
Hassan Piker invoked the same kind of identity politics, which by the way, a lot of these these Muslims in Michigan did. No, come on. You would not accept that from Hassan Piker.
No, I wouldn't.
These Muslims, it's genocide. You would not accept that.
He's not a Muslim. If a politician or somebody came out and was like, fuck Turkish people or whatever, I don't like Turkish people, or we need to seriously think about getting rid of the country of Turkey or whatever, and then someone's like, I don't know, man, I don't think I'm ever endorsing that dude. I mean, like, I think people probably, I don't know, people would be happy with it, especially because as like influencers, our job is kind of to pick and choose political people. But like, feel like people might understand. Right? But like, this is wacky as especially because Hassan is a person who's outside of the Michigan community that has basically attacked Jewish people and Jeremy Moss, and like these are the votes that are trying to be won in the community of Michigan. It's just like again, there's another stupid analogy that is destroying the entire original point. It's not shedding more light on anything or making anybody's positions clear at all.
So what you're doing right now is you're like, well, what if the situation that we're in right now is a completely different situation? Like, what if Hassan Piker was a completely different person? And it's like, okay, well, you can the one pretty convenient I win card. Hassan Piker is not a Muslim, and
the one is the rationale. But
and we've got Jola, and then all the usual losers. I'm confused. Does this mean Hutch will not condemn either Moss or Tlaib because they both have personal ties to the conflict? Oh my God.
If you were to say, if anyone, right? Like, let's say that it were, he's not a true Muslim, I guess.
You can go back and check the tape. You can go back and check the tape. Okay. In 2024, there were times on the stream and stuff that I expressed frustrations, but I did the people that were here in my chat heard me say, like, I'm not going to be the one to, like, torch Rashida Tlaib on the timeline because, you don't
condemn her on not supporting Kamala?
Well, I condemn her for, like, a lot of other reasons. And,
on that. I condemn. I'll say right now, I condemn her for not endorsing Kamala Harris. That was a selfish, destructive act, and it was evil. I'll say it.
Well, I think
and now he could do that. That's a stronger statement he made about Rashid Tlaib than I think he's ever made about anybody that's actually relevant in the sphere that he might be able to gain from by being on their streams or sharing a platform with them. But congratulations, I guess. Good virtue points there. Nice.
I've become more familiar with Rashida Tlaib since the election, and I think maybe if I was more familiar with her, I would have taken like a stronger tone. But I did say at the time, like, look, I get it. Like, if you have family in Gaza and it's your sincerely held belief that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris by proxy are enabling a genocide, then, this is politics. And so it is the job of the candidate to earn that support. And, I happen to also think that Kamala Harris was in a bit of a no-win situation there because, like, no matter what way she could have gone, that she was going to piss off a lot of people that she was going to for endorsements. And she inherited all that from Biden. And so, like, again, at the end of the day, like, 95% of my anger over the campaigns and, like, losing to Donald Trump is reserved for Biden. I don't think it's fair to put that on Kamala Harris's lap.
Or on Hassan Piker.
What do you mean?
So, like, you would apply the same standard. You apply different standard to Rashida Tlaib than Hassan Piker because Hassan Piker is not Palestinian, right? And in your mind, not a Muslim, right?
Now we're gonna get infinitely into this to make another analogy. Dude, you should figure out, like,
was the same.
What?
Every one of his conversations are the same.
Yes. It's like infinite, like, definition, torture, and then a whole bunch of analogies that completely and totally miss the point of everything while constantly restating that you guys actually agree on everything. Like, do you agree that all water is black? And it's like, well, no, I think I've seen lots of water that's not black. Okay, you say water. What do you mean by water? I think you drink. Okay, let's assume that every light on the planet was out and there was no sun because sun is not an intrinsic part of water. You agree? Okay, sure. Could you tell the color of water? Well, I guess color is actually only a thing that's reflected back at you. It's like, okay, I guess. Well, if there's nothing reflecting anything back at you, then the color necessarily is black, which is the absence of all color. It's like, I guess. Okay, so then you must agree that the color of all water is technically in the absence of any sunlight, which there doesn't necessarily have to be the definition of water. That means that all water is technically black. And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess. Okay, so we agree. We agree on everything, right? Then we agree. Like, we basically agree on everything, right? We're cool. Okay, yeah, awesome. You're my boy, guys. Cool. Good conversation. Cool. I'm glad we agree. Bye.
Not Palestinian and he's not a Muslim.
And it's just like, it's insane.
So that's why you treat him
like these are exhausting to listen to, let alone to participate in. Holy
differently than Rashida Tlaib.
Of course.
On the basis of race.
No, not even just that, by the way. It's also like, we know how Hassan works. And so, like, my problems with Hassan go far beyond his identity. It has nothing to do with his identity. I don't think about him as like his secularism or leftism that is like the reason why he's pissing me off right now. It's like the actions that he takes, the strategy that he employs, and the levels of deception that he constantly traffics in every day. So, like, the shit that he was saying about the Democratic Party and Kamala go well beyond what I consider to be like the acceptable boundaries of critique. He was comparing her to Adolf Hitler, Pisco. So, like, that is
comparing the like for like. I mean, yeah, granted, there's other bad stuff, but on the endorsement front, is it really all these other things plus the lack of endorsement? But if he didn't do those things and didn't endorse, he wouldn't critique. I would come at him hard for that too, right? Like, I don't know why we're.
If you want to be the guy,
I will.
To jump on Twitter and lecture Jewish people about their duty, go for it. I'm not jumping in that.
You're saying I'm going to treat
Aldrin.
What you're doing is you're saying I don't want the smoke, and so I'm going to treat people of a particular race or religion differently in terms of my standards. I don't think I'm by definition racist. I'm not saying you are.
Oh my God.
It's like a racial standard. That's like.
Oh my God. This is the Alito take again. What is it with the Jews that breaks everybody's minds? Oh, so you want to craft a district in a state that's literally just for a certain race of people? You want to make a majority-minority district? You want to make it so you understand that is racist, right? That is actually racist. You're violating equal protections there. I'm sorry, but that's racist. Affirmative action, racist. DI, racist. Only casting black men to play Martin Luther King, racist.
Ethnic standard, right?
Hang on a minute. No, this is just
absolutely is.
No, this is politics. This is coalition building.
Oh my God.
Like, I think Abdul El Sayed and Hassan are finding out the hard way that you can't win in a state like Michigan in a race like that by just pandering to your like online base of support. He needs help. He needs help from people that have, in my view, very legitimate concerns about like what like the consequent, like the kind of leadership that Abdul will use, whether or not he will take their perspectives into consideration. Like, I don't fault people for, you know, who are so like invested in a particular issue that they use that kind of leverage in a way that tries to move people. You know, when I look at like the uncommitted movement, there's all kinds of issues that I have with their rhetoric, the way that they went about.
The big thing about the uncommitted movement also, which is another reason why this is completely disanalogous, is if you were singularly motivated by stopping the genocide of Palestinians or the mass extermination or apartheid or where the fuck else you think Israel's doing, you would have voted for Kamala. You would have still voted for Kamala Harris. This is not about, maybe they would have said this, unless you think that Kamala Harris is uniquely instigating hatred of Palestinians in the United States of America. Like, it's not, this is, like, it doesn't work for so many different reasons. It's so stupid.
About it, but I don't begrudge them for trying to create a leverage point to affect a better outcome for, you know, a place where maybe they have family and there's just like all this death. I don't think I'm being unreasonable or, you know.
I think it is. I think you're giving an out for people to just be like, well, I have a particular interest in a given community, and so because I have a particular interest in a given community,
it's no, wait.
Yes, that's called politics. You have an interest. Your interests are furthered by politicians, by passing policy. That's what politics is. It's the exercise of your interest in the political system. Why would you ever say anything but? We live in a democracy. So you're saying just because these people have different interests, that they might prefer a different politician? Because those different politicians might further their particular interests? You've described all government. Yes.
I'm not going to vote for the right candidate. And
you're saying that I have
because of their.
No, you're mischaracterizing what I'm saying. I'm not saying I have like a special investment in Jewish people above other groups.
Oh, like I'm saying you.
I'm mischaracterizing.
Not you. I meant the general.
People, if they cite some identity-based reason for why they can't bring themselves to support someone. So if someone said to you, well, I can't support Kamala because I have family in Gaza, you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. And if someone said to you, well,
if somebody had family in Gaza, let's go. If you want to use that analogy, and somebody's family got blown the up, okay? They lost like multiple cousins, brothers, siblings, whatever the fuck else. And then you're in the United States, you say, listen, if you support Palestine, you're destined. If you support Palestine, you got to vote for Kamala. And that person said to me, they go, bruh, I literally have dead family members that are rotting underneath rubble. We can't even bury them, okay? And Kamala's the vice president right now. Do you think that I'm going to tell that person, well, listen, buddy, shrimp-a-laz, you need to get the fuck over? No, you would say, that's fair. Okay, I get it. And you leave it. That's fair. Fine. You think you would push that person? What?
I'd say, well, you're going to have a lot more dead family members if Trump takes hold because he's not going to
do
anything,
and if you want to take that person, if you can, I wouldn't push that person. If somebody's that personally invested in a thing and that personally of a bad outcome, then I say, okay, you know, I get it. I'm not going to push that person. I don't think you would in a personal conversation, but maybe you would. I don't know. That's a lot.
Conversation, probably.
I'm a Muslim, and so it really affects me when I'm seeing all these images out of Gaza. You'd be like, okay, I'm not going to condemn that statement. But then you would if someone who didn't have a trait. That's like by definition, I think racist, right? At least standard.
Oh my God.
You're out of your mind.
Don't you see that? Don't you see that?
Has anybody brought up the Alito arguments to these guys? I feel like I keep asking that. I haven't heard it. Do they all believe it? Like that's just crazy to me. Yes, different interest groups have different interests, right? States have interests. That's why we have a Senate. Populations have interests. This is why we have House of Representatives. Different minority communities can have interests. This is why we have equal protections of the 14th Amendment. This is why we have hate classifications. This is why we have Title IX for different interests of students. Like yes. Different people have different interests in the United States. We try to express these things as well as possible through all of society as much as we can. It's a balancing test on a lot of it, but yeah, we do try to keep these in mind. Jesus.
Listen, I live in reality, and different groups, minority groups, ethnic identities, religious identities, that are active in politics will, of course, use their collective voting power to try to influence better outcomes.
That's just descriptive. Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's just descriptive.
It's not racist.
I'm not asking descriptive.
It's not racist. Do you think that's racist?
You won't condemn them, right?
Well, do you think it's racist for these different groups to do that?
For them to care more about their own racial group than other racial groups? Yes.
Bro. I can't. I don't even. I can't engage. What?
Bullet bit.
Like by Pisco's logic, then. The black community anywhere, right? If they're a minority in the state, sorry, you're a minority. Not only are you a minority, so we're not going to appeal to you, you should be happy about it. And if the black community comes up to you in some state, because it's a Senate race, so it's a whole state, and they're like, hey, I know we're only 50% of the population, you'd say, you. Not only are you only 50%, you need to come out here and help me advocate for the rest of these white folk out here so I can win this election. You want us to do specialties for black people? HBCUs, gone. Okay? Any type of affirmative action, DA, all that shit, gone. Any type of statements or any, first of all, Black History Month, gone. All that shit,
gone.
Get it out of here. My God.
White History Month.
Chill. Jesus. Calm down. That's going to get clipped. Thanks. Now Hassan's going to be playing that for the next 2 weeks.
What?
Right?
No, I'm saying to prioritize the interests of their
Of one racial group over another, yes.
Oh, this is the MAGA argument for he's giving the Nazi argument. Not even. I'm sorry, because Nazis aren't race retarded like this. They have their own interest groups that you just put whites above all others, right? He's giving the bog standard neo retardicon argument for why all things that are not race blind are totally racist in the same way that racially discriminatory policy or racially bigoted policy is racist.
That's racist?
Pisco, you don't possibly mean that, because if you mean that,
it's such a stupid. He can't possibly believe this. He can't possibly. It's so, dude. This is what politics does to the brain. Holy.
Then, for example, you think that it was racist for black people to, do activism against Jim Crow.
No, that was the worst argument because Pisco's going to have a W. Because Pisco's going to say, well, no, actually, Hutch, black people were just advocating for their own interests to have the same rights as white people. They were trying to have the same rights.
No.
You don't think that, right?
To get on equal footing, that's something else. But if there's some other kind of like, well, no, these kind of interests just matter more.
You don't think
that kind of interest?
You don't think Jewish people combating what they very sincerely believe to be a very alarming rise in anti-Semitism is them trying to get?
They might not be. They might not be Jewish supremacists. I'm not saying that, but you're applying a different standard to their failure to do the good thing, right? The correct, morally correct thing, right? You think that it's morally correct for these people to vote for El Sayed, right? Whoever these people are.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Whoever the holdouts are.
In a blanket kind of way, of course, I would want everybody to hold that view, but at the same time, I don't understand what you're calling racist. That's what I'm getting hung up on.
Saying like, okay, everyone should vote for El Sayed, and I'll condemn people who don't vote or endorse El Sayed, but I'll withhold it if you're like a Jewish advocacy group. That to me sounds like an inconsistent standard.
Listen, not everybody that withholds their vote to try to create a leverage point. Surely you would agree that not all of those actions we should treat as equal. Like surely you would agree that there could be examples of this where the people are just not they're not making like realistic demands, or maybe some of their underlying premises are incorrect. Like I'm not saying it's all justified.
Okay, so I'll clear it up. Instead of using the term combination, will you advocate that this group or this person endorse El Sayed?
I mean, I always do that.
You should do it. Okay, all right.
I always do that. I mean, like I donated $25 to the 7 close Senate races. I took a screenshot of that and posted it on the internet, and the goal was to set an example. Like if anybody follows me and they think I have any credibility, then maybe they'll do the same thing. And so, like, of course, I support Abdul El Sayed, but I'm not going to lecture groups like Palestinian groups
because
in 2024,
right? Because of their ethnicity.
Well, what right do I have to tell any group of people that feel very earnestly that they're...
Hold on, I gotta hear this. I'm sorry. Did he do this and I missed it, or I don't remember? I have to...
I'm curious. With the definition of racism, anti-Semitism, you're familiar with like Alito's opinion on gerrymandering that came out?
Correct. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So there is no contradiction in my belief and Alito's opinion on gerrymandering. The law that we passed, the Voting Rights Act, was specifically done to be independent of intent, right? Just so the Voting Rights Act used to, just in terms of result, if it resulted, irrespective of intent, in whatever they categorized as disenfranchisement, or I forget that now as I'm sitting here, the localities in the specific terminology here, a system that resulted in a given outcome.
Which was related to race. Race. It was racial impact. That's what it was about. It was race.
That violated the Voting Rights Act. And so what they were doing in Calais was making it an intent test. They were making it...
about race, though. It was about the race of the people who were voting.
So you have to show purposeful discrimination and carving out the part of the law that said, we don't care about intent. We don't care about purpose. So I don't have an issue with describing, saying that's racist or not racist in the context of like, if it really was the case, right? If it really, really was the case that these individuals were motivated because of political reasons to do the gerrymanderings they do, and you knew that, right? You knew that the rationale was just political. I don't think that you would call that person racist in virtue of that. But
it would still be, first of all, if you were to ignore the impact, this completely just betrays the entire purpose of the second part of the Voting Rights Act then. Because then, like, we strike down those maps based upon the idea of disparate impact, that the map could be drawn and could disenfranchise some voters. Now, people would call that racist. You could not call that racist, whatever you want. The point of the law was not to make an individual assessment on whether a person was racist. The point was it was irrelevant whether the individual person was trying to be racist or not. If the impact seemed to be racist, or the impact seemed to disenfranchise a minority group of voters to ever have their candidate selected, then that map would be struck down. It's not about making a statement about the person.
They do, and you knew that, right? You knew that the rationale was just political. I don't think that you would call that person racist in virtue of that. But
it would still be struck down, though.
Law itself, the law said we don't care about your intent. It's about the result, and it's to make it easier for us to prove, right? It's as a profile.
It's not just to make it easier to prove. It's recognizing that the disparate impact is enough to be bad.
Galactic measure that we don't care about your intent. Right. So that's what you take issue with. And so people who've been saying Pisco agrees with Calais, they're literally 2 IQ. They're 2 IQ because they don't know anything about the Voting Rights Act. They don't know about Calais. They don't know my opinion, and they're just memeing and saying random shit.
So it sounds okay. I understand. So,
dude, kill me.
So it sounds like you're saying, okay, the difference there is the law doesn't care about intent. Though.
Correct. And they rewrote the law to make it purposivist.
But you also don't necessarily care about intent to call someone a racist. You agree that someone could be a racist even if they're not intending to be a racist.
Right? That's correct. Yeah. But
okay, is that true?
So if they drew lines based on race, right? If they literally drew lines and the factors they included was race
and didn't intend to do,
correct. Yeah. So that would be the example of the discriminatory. But let's say they took an action and it was political, but it resulted in A, B, C, D.
So it's basically just like so it sounds like your interpretation of the law is the gerrymandering is just based on what is the best explanation of what accounts for these lines. It's not what the intent is. It's not. Okay, so that's it's what's the best explanation, and if the best explanation is race, then it could be struck down.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, but then would you apply that? So the question: would you apply that to calling someone a racist? Like, what if the?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it's what's the best explanation, and if the best explanation is race, then it could be struck down.
Yeah, 100%.
That's so to be clear, that's not what it is. I don't know why I'm saying 100%. It was if it did have a disparate impact on the race. You don't ever have to go to intent or look at intent. It doesn't even really matter what the intent is. What matters is the disparate impact, or it did. Now it doesn't matter at all because Alito destroyed it, but.
Okay, but then would you apply that? So the question: would you apply that to calling someone a racist? Like, what if the best explanation is that they're doing different actions on race?
I think if it's the best explanation, right, and if there's it's the most predictive, or it's the one that has the least issues, and you can do this with anti-Zionism as well. I want to have the discussion about like the degrees, or whether I'd call someone an anti-Semite versus I would say that they're moderately anti-Semite.
Oh my God, dude! All right, I'm good enough. We watched a lot of that before anyway. Get me out of here, dude. I can't.
Their interests matter a lot, and maybe they don't feel safe in this country. Maybe they don't like.
The same right you have to lecture Hassan. The same right you feel to lecture.
No, Hassan is motivated. Hassan is motivated by ideology and ego. That's different from, I think, Jewish Michiganders that are alarmed that, for example, in 2025, 50% of the hate crimes in this country were against Jewish people, when they represent 2% of the population. So if you're a Jewish person and you're like, shit, I don't know.
You called it a key endorsement.
Like, surely you understand that a Jewish person could come to the rational conclusion that their personal safety matters more than like getting a public option done or even like blocking the Trump administration. Like if you're, so I'm not gonna just like, I am not gonna lecture.
What about genocide is more important than tyranny in America?
I just told you, Pisco, that I did the same thing.
Like, for instance, let's say like the problem was the factual claim here as well. If not, that might overdetermine it, right? Is it Kamala would have been better for Palestine? If it was the case that it was actually Kamala Harris-Stein and she was saying, if I'm elected, the Gaza Strip, that's going to be called the Tel Aviv sirloin, okay, by the time I'm done with it. The West Bank, more like the banks of all the Jews that are going to be to the west of Jordan, because that's going to be all of it. And you were like, I don't think I can vote for Kamala. That's too much. As a Palestinian, as a whatever, I can't support that. Would you be saying that, well, no, because she still favors us domestically a lot, so you got to vote for Kamala? I think that I could totally see people, and I don't know if I could shout at a person who say, that's too much for me. I'm out. I can't do it. I'm out. I think that would be totally acceptable to say that's a bridge too far.
2024.
Okay.
That's why I didn't like.
I thought you just had smoke for like the unaligned movement and uncommitted movement, but it sounds like you only don't.
Oh my God! It's because their claims were retarded.
They themselves share that identity. It sounds like people who, if it was like a white person who had that rationale, you'd be like, "Fuck you have to vote for Kamala." But if it's a Palestinian person, you're like, "No, I won't criticize you." Right?
Are you talking about white advocacy groups?
No. If a white person says, I can't vote for Kamala, the genocide, you'll be like, you should have voted. But if a Palestinian says, it's a genocide, I can't vote for Kamala, you'd be like, I won't critique you, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
We're looping, but Josiah wanted you to read his full Diet MAGA thing. He said, 50 minutes behind, there was more than what was read. Please read the rest. Love you both. Heart.
I feel like
getting the call, man.
Josiah have been coming in twos, man, recently.
They always do, yeah. I don't know, this is like an OP strat. This is why I'm trying to, when I see you or when I see it, this is what I was saying before, when I was saying, when DGGers were like fighting the Snarker people, I was like, I need to know when this is happening. We gotta do the Horn of Gondor, then show up, because that's how these guys all operate. It's always like a mass movement of, oh, this guy, somebody's fighting Morpheus, like, let's go. And then they're all, Josiah's there donating, Doobie's there donating, all of them show up to give support so that they know like the teams and everything.
I don't have time to read all this. All right, are we done?
Yeah. Okay, you don't want to read it. All right.
I mean, I don't know what he wants me to read specifically.
The Diet MAGA, by definition, not equivalent posts, he said. But if you don't want to, that's okay. I don't have it.
It just feels like there were like so many disparate threads. I don't know which one he's talking about. So.
All right. Well, people can go read it and judge for themselves. Sorry, Josiah. I do appreciate the combo.
Actually, wait, hold on, real quick. I usually don't take cues from chat, but I just saw something in my chat that's like a really good question. Would you condemn sexual assault victims if Plattner had stayed in the race and they said they didn't want to vote for Plattner?
Yeah.
Like, you can't. It's too much. I don't know. Yeah. It's just you can't, guys. That's like, I'm sorry, but I don't know however autistic you are, like you can't. Not when an issue is that personal. There's just no way, guys. It's crazy. Not only is it bad, it's politically toxic. Like, you would never ever make that statement publicly. Like, that's just a crazy, stupid, retarded, anti-person, anti-human, anti-reality statement to make. Jesus.
You're a sociopath or
wait, I might have different language for them. I would maybe I certainly would, because I'm a human, but I would condemn it.
Like, different language? Well, come on. First of all, there's no evidence that Plattner will rape again. And what are the chances he'll rape you? Like, come on, really?
Action, right? So
I'm a bit incredulous.
So would you, right?
No, absolutely not. Like, what do you? What? No, Pisco.
Please, can we get another metaphor, please, or another analogy, please, to destroy this conversation next, please? Yes, another analogy, please.
Victim was like, I'm not comfortable voting for Plattner. I would not say like, well, you owe it to America and Maine. I'd be like, fine, listen, I got it. You know, like, obviously, it's just like, no.
I thought we were about harm reduction here. I thought we were about harm reduction. It seems like you have some other.
Yeah, but I'm not a psychopath.
Oh my god, dude.
At the same time, like, and I just what possible good could come from that condemnation?
I think that you can. I think that there's.
Hi, what's up?
Hello. I just had a quick question about that. Pisco's his clip of him. For one, we both agree he was addressing you, right? When he said, like, some people think I disagree with Clay and they're fucking 2 IQ.
Sure.
He's talking about you.
Yeah, John.
Did that, his explanation there, did that feel like he was dodging really hard your entire reasoning for why you say he agrees with he should agree with the rationale of the case?
Why he should agree with the rationale?
Because you say, like, well, based on what you've been saying, you should agree with Alito's rationale and Clay. Do you think?
Well, he sidestepped it. I mean, like, he's kind of correct in that. I think a big thing that it turned was it started to focus on an intent aspect that's going to always be impossible to prove. Which is actually in line with how I would argue Pisco's like anti-Semitic shit functions. It turned the just a disparate outcomes thing into an intent question, which is always going to be possible to prove. But the fact is that it was about like racial outcomes. Like, the whole thing concerns itself with racial stuff, and it's weird to say that like something is racist because it's concerned with racial things, which is what the whole point of the Voting Rights Act was about racial groups having their political opinions heard. Yeah.
Okay, I just when I first heard him like give that explanation for why he thinks you're wrong about that, I just thought it was a super big dodge, because I noticed he doesn't address. So you're like, what you're saying is that he should agree with Alito's constitutional interpretation, right? That like, oh well, the 14th Amendment doesn't authorize you to just look at impact. Like it authorize, it has to be equal treatment based on race. Like you can't based on like the factor of race.
I'm so sorry. You're right. I wasn't even thinking on that level because because Alito is so retarded. I have to go to the sunken place to summon how stupid those arguments are. Correct. The reason why Alito destroyed, is it pronounced Gingles or Jingles? I've never heard this said before. The test.
Jingles.
Jingles. The reason why...
It's because the 14th Amendment doesn't authorize you to treat it. Yeah.
But yeah, well, he's saying that it's a violation of that in order to do... Because you're explicitly creating a racist map. So therefore, he says that you have to take a neutral position on the maps unless you can prove that they were being racist. So you can't favor a map just because of a particular outcome, because that's definitionally racist and a violation of equal protections, which is retarded. But that was Alito's interpretation of it, which is why he basically destroyed the Jingles test, which is why correct.
That's what that whole case hinges on. So for Pisco to say like, oh well, I just disagree with the statutory, or with Jesus, that was brain dead, with the statutory interpretation, was like, well, then you're dodging what Steven's saying then, because we're talking about the constitutional issue here.
Maybe, yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I would actually do that, but this is in the weeds legal argument that I don't think anybody's going to. But yeah.
Well, I'm saying I agree with you. I think like
well, obviously, because what I'm saying is the purpose of everything the law was written in. About the Pisco's. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, I just think the type. Well, yeah, I definitely agree with you on your interpretation of the case. Alito's reasoning was retarded, but based on like the types of things that Pisco's been saying, I feel like he would be right there with Alito on the constitutional interpretation, but then he'll turn around and say like, well, no, I don't agree with Alito because I think his statutory interpretation was wrong. Sure. Well, it's like, well, okay, but if you disagree with, or if you agree with him on the constitutional part, then definitionally you have to agree on the statutory part too. The statute doesn't matter anymore.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Okay. I just wanted to. I think that's like a sneaky little way he's dodging, like arguing, or he's dodging addressing what you're saying about like, well, then you're acting like Alito.
Yeah, I got it. All
I
right.
think he just doesn't want to. I just don't think he wants to contend with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So be careful. Love you. Bye.
Yeah, true. See you. Bye.
But like, what possible good could come from that condemnation?
I think that you can. I think that there's enough for you to be like, okay, you can be more political about it, but you would condemn the action as morally wrong, even if you don't use the term condemnation. You'd be like, that was a wrong thing to do, right? You would acknowledge that would be a wrong thing to do, right? And whatever.
Oh, 10 minutes ads emergency.
He lost. Too late. Oh. He did too many stupid emergency things, so now he's on a 3-day cooldown.
Oh, boy who cried.
I would not look at that action and think, well, you did a wrong thing. I'd be like, I'd probably do the same thing if I was them.
No, that's not the question. Is whether you would do the same thing. The question is, would it be the wrong thing to do?
Wrong.
The answer is, it would be the wrong thing to do, right?
Wrong from whose perspective? I guess I don't know. Like,
from your perspective.
That's why.
Like I think there's a thing in here called I hate. Vosh introduced this godforsaken philosophy term to the discourse so long ago. Nobody used it anymore. I think it's called supererogatory, which is basically the idea that like it would be good if you did a thing, but you don't have like a moral obligation to do it. I think there are some actions in life where we could say like this is like supererogatory, I think, but like we probably wouldn't expect anybody to do it. So for instance, if you had to push a button and one was you kill your kid, or the other button was you kill 2 random kids, you should probably always push the button to kill your kid. But like, would we ever expect anybody to make that choice? Probably not. I don't think so. And I don't think we would morally condemn somebody who did make that choice. Like if there was a sinking ship and you could run to one hallway and save 2 kids, and then you could run down the other hallway and just save your kid, I don't think anybody would condemn the person who saved their child over the other 2 that weren't it. I just don't think so. And I think I think we're very squarely in that territory here.
Hey, sweet Pisco, I am walking away from imposing blue no matter who on anyone else. That's my position.
Why? That was one of your raison d'etres. That's one of
your
wait, organizing principles.
I will continue to vote blue no matter who. I'm not wavering from that principle. I'm just not going to spend any time trying to browbeat anyone or impose that standard on anyone else, because I've just come to the conclusion after doing this for years of the same conversations. I've never had a productive conversation about this in that way. Trying to impose it on someone, it's always been useless, bad, just a waste of time. It just doesn't. It's just there's no
if you feel that
point
it's not convincing, then that's okay. That's one thing. If you think it's not convincing people, but I do think you still hold to that. I think and you don't just hold it for yourself. You hold other people to that too, in terms of how you judge them.
No longer. Well, it depends.
Of course you would.
It's
you judge people for.
It's a case by case.
Would you?
I would not judge a victim for not voting for Banner. I just wouldn't.
That's crazy.
In a million years.
That's crazy to do that.
How could I possibly judge that?
Yeah.
If I think I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
What right do I have to
Would
judge
you judge
them?
a genocide hater for voting against with their mind someone
like genocide hater? These analogies are so bad. I'm a red hater. A red hater theoretically could still vote for Plattner, right? Maybe even should. But that's different between you've been personally impacted by a thing. It's a different thing.
Helps a genocide?
My issue with that person might be the calculation that they come to, but I don't begrudge them for like having that reaction, especially if they have a personal or familial tie to Gaza.
I do begrudge them. I begrudge them. I might treat them a little softer if there's a personal connection. I might not even seek out those conversations. And yeah, maybe that is a double standard. But in terms of measuring the underlying action, yes, that's a wrong thing to do. It's wrong. In the same way that, like, yeah, you can understand how someone in a cult, like MAGA, right? They're going to, on their notion, right? They think that the Democrats have all imposed themselves on them. They've had family members they think have been like, totally victimized by the Department of Justice because they're Jan Sixers. Now you'd be like, I disagree with all the facts. And I doubt that you would say, but I understand that I won't judge them. I think that you would judge them.
Oh my God!
I think on my better days.
No, Hutch's intuition is intuition is 100% correct here, and I shouldn't even have to say it. Hutch's intuition is obviously 100% correct here. That's an insane ask that no reasonable human being in any democratic system would expect somebody to be able to make. This is why it's generally considered important that our politicians are like above average moral people. That's crazy.
Oh my Chad. I got a little bit older and I think about people and politics like a little differently. I am definitely not a saint and I get really pissed off at people. Obviously, I've been fighting on Twitter for like 5 days with people because I just feel like I'm venting at this point because I'm so pissed off. But on my good days, like if I was born in Alabama, for example, in like a rural area, I'd probably be MAGA. And so on my better days, I try to remember that. And it's easier for me to do that with like people that I'm more proximate to.
Who are MAGA, right? So, I mean, like you actually do have a connection there. Yeah.
Yeah. After years of like fighting family members on politics, I finally reached a point where I realized that number one, I wasn't going to change their mind. And number two, I was making myself miserable, perpetuating this delusion that I could change their mind. And so I accepted their politics, and now we basically never fight. And it's great. And so
they must be destroyed, Hutch. They must all be. I'm just kidding. Dude, great combo. I appreciate it a lot, and I love you, dog. And I love the shirts. I love everything about you.
They're a little wrinkly. I should have ironed it a little bit, but yeah. All right. Well, listen, it was good talking to you, and I'll talk to you later.
Later, bro.
Hey, it's all love, baby.
One love, baby.
If you want to fall on those swords, you can do that. I'm not falling on that sword. I'm not gonna.
That's just a crazy.
I got some follow-up thoughts if you're down. All right. Okay.
Oh, we got part 2 of the reprogramming coming in?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let me mute your stream real quick so we don't get that echo.
Wait, before we talk, would you mind if I did some call-outs? Because I got to do some catching up here.
You think I'll
go get a glass of water, go pee. It might take me a second, but
I'm going to get a snack.
I'll be right back. Ratman with 7 Canadian, Hassan and his ilk are political entrepreneurs. They don't practice politics. They use it as an aesthetic. They have no scruples. I agree. Tagop with $10. Imagine if Kamala ran with Candace Owens. She could avoid all the negative press if she didn't campaign with her, but if she did and called her just a YouTuber, it will affect black vote. All elite memes for $5. That's not racist. That's called, excuse me. That's called having discernment. There's specific context where you respect the position of marginalized groups. This framing is wild. Well, with Jewish voters in particular, and you could apply this to a lot of other groups, it's just, I think with Jewish people in America, or just in the world, it's easier to make the case because of the
with every
magnitude
group is
of the
to be
Holocaust, and so
in things that their group
I am not
experiences
going to
as
tell
a group.
I understand the reasons why Jewish people are vigilant about like the way that society is going in a way that I have never had to think about. I have never felt unsafe in that kind of way. I have never walked down the street and wondered like, oh, I sure hope there aren't any people that like dislike tall people with pregnant bellies. I've never had to walk down the street and be like, fuck, if people find out that I have, I'm like 5% Irish. I just have never had. So if you're a Jewish person, I think, and again, you can apply this to so many other groups, but like you have every right to prioritize your safety above like national politics. I'm not going to tell you that that's the thing that you should do or you shouldn't do, but I get it if that's how you feel. And so like, I don't understand what I would be lecturing about or condemning, like I'm just like, hey man, listen, I get it. Like, man, so it's rough out there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The Israel Zionist stuff is crazy right now. I feel like I'm watching like a mass delusion, and it's just like, I'm getting a little freaked out, like watching people with massive platforms who were always maybe not great, but like not completely insane. Now there's like 30 that I could think of off the top of my head that have gone fully down this like Zog rabbit hole. And if I was a Jewish person looking at all that, I would feel freaked out if I'd probably get a concealed carry or whatever, like it's way out.
Reminder, me and Mr. Mooten, actually, I don't know if we did this. I think we did though. Made fun of Dan when Dan got his tattoo removed.
Oh, I wasn't here, but.
Oh, I did. I thought it was goofy as fuck. But you know what?
Out of control.
Hey, who's got the last laugh now?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are done with $10. People's lived experience matters, and it is often informed by their racial/religious/ethnic background. Rending Rapier with $5. Why is the assumption that Hassan contributed towards the primary win? Isn't it possible that El Sayed could have won by a larger margin without Hassan? That is very much unquantifiable. So I think it's reasonable to speculate that Hassan played a big part in, I think either directly or indirectly, because I think what happened was like he started getting a lot of national attention after Third Way launched their attack. And then that drew attention to Abdul El Sayed, which massively boosted his name recognition in that state. More people became familiar with who he was. And so I don't know if it was Hassan's like advocacy and the campaign stops, or if it was the attention from Third Way and all that stuff, or some combination, or if he could have done better without Hassan. Like, I don't know, but I think it's a reasonable position to think that Hassan had some part to play in that. George with $10 when Biden campaigned in 2020, didn't he admit regret of the crime bill? Would Pisco's position on that be a mealy-mouthed response to being preferable to admission of a regretful mistake? Crib with $2. Is Pisco convinced it's a G side? I think yes. RT, I don't know how to say that word. Shicky with 5 gifted memberships. Paper Citadel with $5. Tell Pisco to turn his hat around. He's like 40. Grow the fuck up.
Jesus.
There's nothing wrong with having a backwards hat. Relax. Nobody shot for $5. You should get Pisco to call out Josiah instead of apologizing to you. That's a much more fair bet. Mr. Prado with $2. Is value only a popularity contest? No, it's more of like an influence contest, I think, in politics. Paper Citadel with $5. I already got you. Led Icarus with $5. Words have meaning. We use specific words to convey specific meaning. If you don't use words correctly, we can't communicate properly, e.g. Zionist. Grassroots Hegemon with $10. In the word of my good friend Fellrunner, I hate Pisco because I'm anti-semantic. Slate King with $10 just got here. Are they discussing if Josiah agrees that Pisco is an ally? Clearly, we haven't evaluated that value. Paper Citadel with $2. Oh, so we can just make up our own definitions. Cool. Paper Citadel with $5. Josiah's personal definition means all. The word ally has a definition. And if you use it not meaning that definition, then you're just wrong. Grassroots Hegemon with $10. I weighed my options and only came down on 200 against Feminem. Kyle, refusing to endorse Ossoff because he hasn't said Zionazi out loud yet on camera, only when his wife asked him to. Almost with the tier 1 membership. Never Trump. Republicans are better allies than DSA on MAGA. Here's write this down. I'm going to get more specific, because not only have I been predicting that like all these promises from Kyle that he's going to do blue no matter who would not happen. I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to tell you why he shifts. And we may actually be in that moment right now. But what he's going to say is
why he shifts from blue no matter who, or
I've changed my mind after I've watched the party rat fuck progressives.
Oh, sure.
I take it all back. Mark my words. Clip this. That's what's going to happen. He might start doing it this next week because of the Ossoff situation. Almost with the tier 1 membership for 8 months. Lost Cafe with $5. How can you make such bets when you still owe Mike his money from the bet you lost? Paper Citadel with $2. Ask Pisco to define endorsement. Ian with $10. Someone tell Esme right now. Bozzy with £5 of Diet MAGA doesn't mean basically MAGA. but just being too in league with MAGA, Pisco can't get angered at political discourse. To do that,
a long time ago, called "Those Who Walk Away from Omelas." Have you read it?
Wait.
Never heard of it.
It's an interesting book. It's a sci-fi story about a city, and the city is wonderful. It's beautiful. Everything goes right. The people are cared for. Sickness has been cured. But in order to live in the city, you have to go and look at what is powering the city. And what powers the city is every 10 years they choose a child and put this child in this like torture machine. Okay, and that's how it generates the energy. And if you're willing to live with that, you can stay in the city. But if you aren't, you walk away. When Pisco talks about how he would condemn sexual assault victims for not voting for Plattner because overall, them not voting for Plattner, even though they've been victims of this sexual assault, right, is going to create more harm in the world because he believes Collins is worse than Plattner. It reminds me of the people who aren't willing to walk away from Omelas, who are willing to let the suffering of certain groups, or certain people, or certain individuals stay there and sacrifice their well-being for the good of the whole and things like that. I think it's an interesting way of looking at the world, but I want to reject completely. I think you're entirely correct and entirely right to say, hey, if this person has severe issues with supporting someone who has either caused them direct harm or supported people who've caused them direct harm, I think you should. I think it's good that you stand on principle there. And that's what I wanted to say.
It's just a little robotic to me because like you could even make the argument that maybe by Susan Collins winning, that would result in like more SA victims. But I would still not.
It still doesn't. You would never push
lecture someone in that spot because
that's crazy.
It's just, I'm just forgetting entirely about the fact that it doesn't have to be rational.
Yeah.
Especially
if it is rational. It's rational to value the experience of the individual and say, I'm not okay with asking this individual to sacrifice themselves for the good of the whole. That's a very rational take. And you shouldn't let people tell you it's irrational. It's very rational. It's very caring. Again, what's the saying? There is no minority greater than the minority that is the individual, right? Like you are a singular individual, a singular person, and you deserve, right, to be able to feel comfortable and to feel okay and not to sacrifice yourself for the collective. So no, don't let them pull that shit on you. Okay, it's rational. Your belief is rational.
All right, what was the second one you wanted to get to?
Okay, the AAS endorsement thing. You were correct where he's in a situation where there's no good choices for Abdul El Sayed, because he sought the endorsement of Hassan Piker. He's now in a situation where no matter what he says, he's going to eat a cost. But I would argue that the cost of him doubling down and not full-throated condemning Hassan Piker is going to be greater than the cost of him saying, yeah, I f***ed up. I didn't realize the extent of the things he said. I didn't realize the extent of what he was advocating for and what he represented. And I made this mistake. But part of leadership is recognizing when you make mistakes in correcting course so that we can be better in the future. And this just demonstrates that I'm able to correct that course. Unlike Mike Rogers, who doubles down on his support of Donald Trump, who has done blah, 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 right? There's a really good way to do it. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there that yes, there is going to be a cost either way, but the cost of him doubling down is far greater because Hassan's not going to shut up. He's not going to stop. He's going to keep coming out with these crazy takes. More clips from him in the past are going to keep coming up. And it's just going to be a continual shit show from start to finish.
It betrays a shocking level of poor judgment and arrogance, in my opinion. Because
my guess is, and I have no way to prove this, my guess is he probably just had no clue how crazy all the Hassan shit was because nobody in the lib media covered any of it. That's probably what happened.
If you contrast it with Mamdani, and I'm sure you have many issues with Mamdani, but like, he strikes me as a pretty intelligent person. And Mamdani had the good sense to disavow.
No, I'm just asking
and he did it.
That's what's happening. Never mind.
I think after, and disavow is the stronger word. Okay, so he did it after the primary. So Mamdani running in a like super blue city, disavowed Hassan and has not had any kind of direct connection to Hassan. So I think he invited Hassan to the party, but they were not allowed to be like photographed together or anything like that.
Yeah, he kept a really strong wall between them, right?
And so if Mamdani is doing that in New York City, and I think that was good judgment. I mean, I wouldn't have, if I was Mamdani, be seen with Hassan in the first place. But he did that and then just ripped the Band-Aid off, and then it wasn't really an issue after that, if you remember. I mean, people brought up Hassan and tried to like tie him to Mamdani, but it didn't dominate the discourse. Mm-hmm. And I think what Abdul is doing is like a kind of Streisand effect, because if you do this disavow that's not really a disavow, well, that's just going to get even more attention. And now it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so, and I think,
right.
And I think that was predictable. And so to me, it just looks like, man, either Abdul himself has a shocking lack of good judgment and a shocking level of arrogance, or the people that are surrounding him are giving him bad feedback. But either which way, it doesn't make me feel great about Michigan.
I understand. It's like a guy who gets caught with a mistress, and instead of saying, okay, wife, I'm going to leave my mistress and be with you, or okay, wife, I'm going to leave you and be with my mistress, he tries to like juggle them both still and be like, well, I love you both for different reasons. Like, he's going to lose both his wife and his mistress if he keeps doing that. I think that you are exactly correct that his statement was worse than no statement at all. I think if he had said nothing, it would be better for him, actually. But it would still be worse than him coming out and fully condemning Hassan Piker, right? That's, again, if we rank the order of choices he had, you have the worst choice is the one he chose, which is try to appeal to both sides.
Yep.
The second worst choice is to say nothing, ignore it, and keep going. And the best choice in that list, for me at least, and how I see it, is fully separating himself from Hassan.
If he just didn't know about all the Hassan stuff, why wouldn't he just easily disavow him now, though? Because you're in a really weird spot now where disavowing somebody like that, a campaign surrogate like that, it does look bad. He is in a really rough spot. I actually don't know what the right choice would be. It probably is going to have to be whatever it is. You got to figure it out fast. It should be like a party leadership meeting, and Schumer and all these people should get together, and he should announce it at some Jewish gathering where Haley Stevens comes on and says like, oh, like, you know,
I've been dreaming about you.
Yesterday, yeah, we did Inception, and I found out that Israel also comes to El Sayed's dreams, and we all dream about Israel all the time. And I don't know. Like, they have to do, I don't know. And then you move on from it, and then once you're done.
On Piker, there's still going to be damage from that. You're still going to take a hit. That's baked into any decision you make at this point, but you will take less of a hit and you can move on. And the sooner he does that, because time is a resource here. And my worry with Abdul El Sayed, like, first, I don't know if he's going to win or not. The polls have them neck and neck. I think the latest I saw was him +1. So that's good, but he's underperforming the other Senate candidates that we have running in tight races.
He's being, I think, propped up by Donald Trump's national, like, astonishing unpopularity. And so there's an okay chance that that's enough to compensate for this incompetent campaign that I think is unfolding before our eyes, but I don't feel good about Michigan. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous.
I am too. And at this point, because he, I think you're right to call it incompetent, because he has demonstrated his incompetence. While I do endorse him, I want to make that clear. Voters, if you're in Michigan, you're listening to this, vote for El Sayed over Rogers. That's just a clear choice. I'm not going to give him my any other support than that, right? I think that we have Talarico, who, look, Talarico's a great example of how to handle this.
Oh, man.
Oh, this is good.
Track Piker, John Ossoff, has condemned Hassan Piker for his stupid bullshit. That's a good ass meme.
He had a lot of issues. There was a bitter primary battle. Black voters had a lot of issues with Talarico, but he's been able to turn that around, not because he issued mealy-mouthed statements, but because he went on and he got on stage and he took it. He took the shit that some of the black voters had for him. He answered their questions. He addressed their concerns. He didn't try to play it off as the media is trying to divide us. He didn't try to play it off with like blaming other people for this divide. He said, yeah, okay, we need to do better. This is how we're going to do better.
Yeah, I think the big difference between the behavior or the actions that Talarico has done versus Abdul El Sayed is that I think Talarico has always known that he was going to need to, like, that there was work to do to build out his coalition. Mm-hmm. And I think Abdul El Sayed's posture was one of defiance. Like, it was a little bit better in the speech that he gave the next morning. I heard that speech. I was like, okay, it does sound like he's pivoting to the general, which is a different kind of race. That made me feel better. And then, like, 2 days later, I'm looking at my feed and there's like official AP photographs of him like talking and laughing with Hassan at the party. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like why? I don't know how to explain that besides like, I think that was obviously him signaling defiance. Like, he lives. Told you we could do it.
He's acting like a streamer would in that situation.
Yes.
Right? Streamer doubles.
To be fair, or am I wrong? I thought that party, is he talking about like the pool party or the influencer party? Wasn't that before?
Before.
Although I don't know if there was another photo or if he appeared with them after the election. I could be wrong.
Down and wants to like gain their own like clout and things like that and establish their dominance. And it's not going to play well because, well, streamers would make very poor politicians in most cases. It's political malpractice, what he's doing. I hope he changes course, but there comes a point where, unfortunately, like I think you mentioned this in your discussion with Pisco, Hassan's undercutting him at every turn.
Dude.
Even the mealy-mouthed disavowal he did, right? The next day, Hassan was like, "Don't worry, guys."
He's still on our side, guys. It's all optics. It's like, dude, how do you not know by now, Hassan, that they're watching your stream every minute of every day? They're watching you. Like, it is just, for the kind of ego that I think Abdul has demonstrated that makes me question him a little bit. Like, it's like 1,000 times worse with Hassan, because Hassan's only thinking about protecting his reputation. Like, I'm sure in his mind, he thinks like, if Abdul publicly rejects me, that will signal that my politics can't work in swing states, and he can't have that because he's been telling his audience, yeah.
If we ignore all the authoritarianism, anti-Semitism, etc., the difference between someone like you and someone like Hassan is pretty simple. You're trying to win power for the Democratic Party. You want Democratic Party to win power in America. Hassan is trying to win power within the Democratic Party, right? He doesn't really care if Democrats win in general. He wants to win power inside the party so that he can boost his ego, get his influence, get his clout, get his money, etc., etc.
Play out his like savior fantasy. Like he very obviously idolizes people like Mao and Lenin. And I think he's playing out a LARPy savior fantasy. He's finding out the hard way that this fiction that he spun in his head about like himself and the country it was obviously not true. It's all kind of like crashing down right now.
Now, here's a spicy question for and you feel free not to answer. I won't hold it against you. At what point do we think that people like Pisco are running too much cover and there might be some sort of weird ulterior motive? When I say ulterior motive,
I'm not having that kind of conversation with you. If you guys want to have that conversation amongst yourselves, I'm not doing it.
No, it's fine. No, I told you I wouldn't hold it against you, so I won't. I do want to talk about the allyship comments, though. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I guess the problem I have with Josiah's definition of ally, or how he has used ally in the situation with Cenk Uygur and things like that, to me at least, when I think of an ally, I think someone who not only shares common goals, but someone who like has some kind of durable alignment in not only goals, but the principles we share, and kind of like a reciprocal commitment to back each other, right? Like an ally supports each other. Someone is not an ally if
actively
they continuously undermine you.
Yeah.
If they're continuously talking shit about you, which Cenk, even when he has been anti-Trump and has said you should vote against Trump, he continuously has always undermined the Democratic Party. And I think that
this is obviously true. It is a necessary component of being an ally to someone. It is a necessary component of someone that you consider to be an ally in terms of your expectations of them. It does have to cut both ways. And I think the fact that you have to explain to people like they're 12 that an ally is not someone who compares your nominee to be president to Adolf Hitler, I think that is the result of their successful efforts to just get people so used to their inflammatory language that people just don't question it anymore. So they say the most outlandish stuff, and it just doesn't really register. Like, to them, Cory Booker's statement that he put out on Twitter registered like a 5-alarm fire, sirens blaring like, oh my God, look at this. What are they doing? They're declaring war on Hassan. And meanwhile, they're ignoring like the literally 10,000 times that Hassan has compared Democrats to like the Nazi party or something insane. And it's just ridiculous. It's absurd. And so we need more people that are like jolting people. Like, I need you to understand that he compared Kamala Harris to Hitler. You know, like, I don't think I should have to explain why that is not an ally. And they probably never will. But
yeah, and the danger of softening and broadening the term is that, again, like you said, normal people, when they hear ally, this is just assumed. Like, oh, there's someone who supports you and we support them. We have the same principles. We have the same end. So when you broaden that definition to include people like Cenk Uygur, even at one time, Cenk Uygur was an ally. I do think there's a danger there. And I would caution, even though I love Josiah, I would caution him against the use of those types of terms. We could say that, well, Cenk Uygur helped us in the past, but that is not the same as labeling someone an ally. I think just being more careful with labels, that's it. But that's all I had for you. I won't keep you.
Otherwise, you got to consider people like Fuentes. This must be an ally then, if that's what we're running with, right?
Too long, but thanks for letting me vent a little bit.
I mean, mark my words. We're gonna get to the general. We're gonna get to the primary. It's not even gonna getting to the general. We're gonna get to the primaries, like the dog days of like February 2028, and they're gonna spin up their bullshit that they do every presidential cycle, and it's gonna be so bad that I think even my pals that I love and are my pals are just gonna. It will be undeniable, is what I predict.
I hope so. Yeah. And well, hold on. I don't hope that they'll do this, right? But I hope that it's undeniable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, and I just want to remind people, if people had taken my suggestion that I made in 2024.
Did you call into Hutch? He's streaming on Twitch, bro. I can't. I'm on this platform.
That we should have a sister soldier moment with Hassan and come out and publicly as a party, and our front runners all condemn Hassan, we wouldn't be in the situation we have now.
True.
People should listen to me more. I'm always
true.
Anyway, thanks for calling in, buddy. All right. Well, hold on. Thanks for letting me call in. I love you.
Hey, cheers. Bye-bye. It is so frustrating. The notion that I should, or anyone should have to explain, number one, that in order to align with someone or become an ally to someone and have them be your ally, like,
they can't be actively undercutting you.
The notion that it would need to be explained that there needs to be a demonstrated value, not a abstract notion of value, not a promise of value, but a demonstration of value for that relationship to be justified. And I don't think enough people are asking the question, what value? We do this endless commentary about, does Hassan Piker have a seat at the table? Before you even get to that question, you have to answer the question of, what value has Hassan Piker demonstrated to the Democratic Party? And you're going to get some stupid answers to that question. People are going to be like, well, he helped Daria Lisa and Claire Valdez in New York, which is obviously stupid, because what is the value there? You've replaced two progressive Democrats with two people that don't even call themselves Democrats and only ran as Democrats because they can't win elections on their own. Well, that's not value. You could argue that's negative value. I need more people pointing out the absurdity of calling the Democratic Party fascist collaborators and then guilt-tripping the people that you call fascist collaborators because they're not defending you or they're even attacking you. That is absurd. Not enough people are pointing this out, and it's absurd. If you really thought that the Democratic Party were fascist collaborators, you wouldn't be asking support from them. They're fascist collaborators, right? How the does that work? Wouldn't that make you a fascist collaborator necessarily? I think it's important to point that out because it highlights the fact that they don't actually believe that the Democrats are fascist collaborators. They are using deliberately incendiary rhetoric, but they don't actually believe it.